Where did Kevin go? Yeah. If you see Kevin.
Hello, we will be beginning in 5 minutes. Will all the city council candidates please come grab a chair here in the front, and the mayoral candidates head to their places at the table. 5 minutes.
Should I just go ahead and rip mine off? Doesn't matter where I sit. Yeah, the mayor's gonna be over there. No, we just. I think we got another room. Do another room. No, we got enough. We got enough. The mayor's are gonna be up there. We got enough room. Good. We got enough room.
I'm going to sit down here on here. Okay.
Anybody want to go?
Yeah, you can. Come on. No, come on. Come on. No, yeah, you brought this.
As we lead into this meeting tonight, it is appropriate if we stand and give a pledge of allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. What a great crowd tonight. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Greater Tuscaloosa, I am welcoming you to tonight's candidate forum for the upcoming Northport City elections on August 26th. I am Carol Prickett, and I am your moderator from the League of Women Voters this evening. The League of Women Voters is a segment of the League of Women Voters of Greater Tuscaloosa. Your host for tonight is a segment of the League of Women Voters of the United States and the League of Women Voters of Alabama. As a nonpartisan organization, we do not endorse any candidate or party, only issues for which members have reached consensus. There are established protocols for candidate forums, and those have been in play in setting up and carrying out tonight's events. The League does not allow empty chair or one-person responses to questions. If there is just one candidate for a position or only one candidate present, that candidate can only introduce him, her, theirself, and state what position he, she, or they are running for. Candidates were notified not to bring campaign materials of any kind, t-shirts, brochures, pins, and signs into this room, and we would appreciate audience members honoring this policy during this event. Questions for debate must be relevant to all candidates. Questions were solicited from Northport citizens via several methods, including social media and personal meetings, and a list was reviewed by a panel of LWVGT members for appropriateness and priority. The moderator has a list of these questions, and I just want to say it shows how much Northport cares about its community that we got lots of questions on lots of different topics. So we will have a very good discussion tonight. The moderator has these questions, but just for the record, for tonight's meeting, this moderator is not a resident of Northport, and I don't have a dog in this fight. During the forum, audience members can submit additional questions on index cards, and I think you've been handed some index cards and pencils. Listen carefully and jot down some notes, and if it sounds like we're not getting to the question that you want, if you'll just hold up your card, someone from the League will come and pick it up and bring it to some of our League members who will check to see if it's something we're about to get to, or if it is in some way targeted to one candidate or doesn't meet our particular protocols. So just write your question and hold on to it. We're going to do the mayor first, so you will have those, and then we will take a little break, and we will do the council members. So if your question is for the mayors, you may want to go ahead and be thinking about that right now. Just keep the council cards kind of separate, if you will, because that'll help us keep it straight. If time permits, we will make sure we get in every question, but if we run out of time at 9 o'clock, we're leaving. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. Well, you see how many candidates we have. We got pages of questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. An appointed League member, Ms. Susan Fleming, sitting here in the front, will hold up a 1-minute warning sign, a 30-second warning sign, a 15-second warning sign, and then a stop sign, okay? Because we do want to stay on track with our time tonight. So without further ado, I would like for each member, now I think everybody understands how to run their microphone, right? Each member will just start at the far end, each candidate for mayor, to state their name, and of course they're running for mayor. So just give us your name, please.
I'm Jason Barksdale.
What's your?
I'm Jason Barksdale, running for City of Mayor,
Okay.
City of Northport Mayor.
Did that come out over the microphone? I don't think so. Make sure the button is all the way to the top. It's on.
Now try it.
Try it again.
Try it again.
Jason Barksdale.
Okay. We might want to work on that.
2212.
This is a good reason we're trying this out at the beginning. Yeah. Moving right along.
Jason Barksdale, running for Mayor of Northport.
I get it now. David Crawford from Mayor of Northport.
Roland Lewis for Mayor of Northport.
Dale Phillips for Mayor of Northport.
All right. Okay. We're going to move in different orders for different questions. So I'm going to start, excuse me, I'm going to start with Dale Phillips, and I'm going to say, get my questions here. If you're elected mayor, what will be your top priority? 2 minutes.
My top priority will be opening up the city for communication with the citizens. We have too many issues where people's voices are not heard. Now, there's a difference between being heard and getting your way. I don't want anybody to think that, well, he's guaranteeing we're going to get our way. No. but we are going to hear your voice. The way I'm going to hear your voice is we're going to set up interactive modules at city council meetings where you can submit questions, much like what you're doing here tonight. We will have an email system where you can submit questions, and if you don't get an answer, I will encourage you to call me out in any immediate that you can. We will post up-to-date reports that are easy to read and understandable. And we will not be doing any closed-door committee meetings. Everything will be open. Everything will be accessible by the public. I also want to install a state-of-the-art streaming system so you can sit at home and watch the city council meetings or watch any city meeting going on and actually hear it and understand it and see who's saying something. We have to earn the trust of the people, and to do that, we have to get ourselves back in touch with people. Thank you.
Alrighty, Mr. Lewis, would you tell us what your top priority will be if you are elected mayor?
Thank you. If I'm elected mayor, I think that we will start with instilling trust and integrity back into the leaders of our community, of Northport. We believe that if we had trust and integrity back, that the issues and concerns that most of our citizens are addressing will be heard and understood. Listen, even if we disagree, I want to make sure that when we go to bed at night, that we understand that the decision that was made on behalf of the leaders of this great community was done in the mindset that this community will grow, right? And so we're going to lead with community-centered approach that is going to focus in a way that grows our city for everyone. Everyone can be able to partake in that.
Thank you. Mr. Crawford?
We're sharing one here. Community, everybody mentioned community. Common unity is community. And I think the common unity among the city council and the mayor is very important. The community of the city hall itself, where everyone at the city hall has a common unity to do the best they can to represent the people that pay their salaries. And same thing with the police department, the fire department, the HR department. To promote common unity, working with the department heads to standardize the permitting for new businesses coming into town. Set up a concierge, a business concierge, so that somebody comes to Northport, wants to open a business, they get a pamphlet from Northport telling them exactly what they need to do to get a final inspection on their business. So community, common unity.
Okay. And Mr. Barksdale?
My priority is it's pretty simple, and that's to listen to the citizens of Northport, because the way this is set up, the mayor has very limited power. It's my job, in my opinion, to be out and be a liaison for this community and to feed back to the 5 council representatives. And hopefully they make a decision based on their district and their representation, the people they're representing. First of all, I'm big on first responders, because if we don't have safe streets, then I mean, we all get to sleep at night. All right, we do. We get to sleep at night while they're out, and I'm big on first responders, taking care of small businesses before you try to recruit new businesses. We should always take care of small businesses first that have been the backbone of Northport, in my opinion. But most of all is listen to the citizens and feed it back to the council.
Okay, it's been mentioned that the role of the mayor in Northport government is fairly limited. If you are elected mayor, are there any changes to the mayor's role that you would like to see instituted, if possible? And I'm going to start with Mr. Lewis for this one. Changes to the mayor's role if you're elected?
No, I don't think we need to change the role of the mayor at this time. especially with our current population, I believe that the mayor, much like Mr. Jason said, should be the face, the voice, the support system for our community. That person should be able to speak on behalf and represent our city across the nation, not just here, but all over the world.
Mr. Phillips, do you have anything you would like to change about the mayor's role?
I wouldn't change anything with the mayor's duties or role. One thing I would do is make sure that our city follows what is guidelines from the League of Municipalities that sets the rules on how cities work. We haven't done a very good job of following those rules. And the reason we haven't done a very good job of following, or the result of that, is why we have an unelected mayor and 2 council members that have never been elected, because we didn't follow the guidelines. We have to get back to following the guidelines and being professional. Do I want to make changes? Absolutely not. I just want to follow the rules that's set forth by the League of Municipalities.
Thank you. And by the way, if you're getting questions that you're thinking about, remember to write them on those cards and hold them up, and somebody will come and get them. Mr. Barksdale, are there any changes you would like to see made in the role of mayor?
No, ma'am. I like the way it's set up. I like having the city administrator. I think that gives the mayor more time to be out in the community, because if you're behind the desk, how are you actually listening to you guys? That's a fair question. If I'm behind the desk all day, how am I really listening to y'all? How am I feeding back to the council? I like having a city administrator. I like the way it's set up. That's just my opinion, because she or he, because there's going to be a new one eventually, they help run the day-to-day operations along with the council, but you have to have a little freedom to be out. Like I said earlier, if you have to listen, and by having a city administrator in that role, that helps the mayor do his job as well.
Thank you. Mr. Crawford, any changes you would like to see?
No, I think it's fine the way it's set up now. The mayor is basically a PR guy. He doesn't have a vote on the council. He can break a tie. I don't know how you have a tie between 5, but I'm sure it could be done. Maybe one didn't show up. And he can veto, but the veto can be overridden by either 3 or 4 members, depending on what the item up for is. So I think the way it's set up is perfectly well. A part-time job would be more of a full-time job for somebody who's really interested in what they're doing. But I think the PR department that we don't have would be a very good way to start, because I think public relations and the community, the common unity between the city hall will take care of everything as far as the outreach to the community and outreach to the people that pay our salaries.
Well, don't put that microphone too far away, because I'm going to ask you to start on the next question. In the run-up to this election, there has been some confusion and misinformation regarding redrawn municipal district lines and polling places. How will the city improve how it provides information to the voters before the next election? Mr. Crawford.
That is a very good question. Getting information out in a small town is very difficult to do. Since we have limited newspapers, and I don't think we do handbills anymore, if anybody knows what a handbill is. But the website would be about the best way to get the information to the people. And also keeping everyone informed about everything that's going on, so that if you're in City Hall, you can ask somebody a question, they have the answer to the question. And the answer to most questions need to be yes and not no. So just the availability of information through the internet would be about the only way that I could think of would be advantageous to make it more appealing and easier to get the information from the city. Either that or just go up there and camp out on the front porch.
Mr. Barksdale, do you have some ideas for how to better get information to the voters?
Nowadays with technology, social media is obviously going to be a good way to get information out. But get involved and come to the city city council meetings, or they stream it, you know, they keep streaming it live right now. You can do emails, newsletters. I mean, you could come up with several ways, but the bottom line is open communication between the city and the voters or the citizens.
Mr. Phillips, do you have some ideas?
This election is a little bit different because we're going into this election with new districts drawn and new voting locations. And that has created a lot of confusion in a lot of ways. We got a late start in getting the new information out. One thing, when you have changes, as we did, we should have had the voting locations predetermined long before we did. We should have mailed out the information that has worked in the past long before we did, and then the problems that we had, we could address. Now, we're dealing with a system that we've been using when we didn't have any changes, and we're behind the 8 ball because we have people that don't know where they're voting. We have people that don't know if they can get to voting places or how they're going to get there. This election is, hopefully this doesn't happen every time we have an election. But we started late and we've never been able to catch up. And we're going to have to be really diligent in getting out to vote and staying dedicated to voting. Go ahead and find your place. Go ahead and see what obstacles or deterrents may be in your way. Plan ahead, because it's important that you get out to vote.
Ms. Lewis?
So I believe that we need to get information out fast and often. Fast and often. As fast as things change in this time, we have to get that information out. We use platforms, as previously stated, like our website and our Facebook pages and even snail mail. But that information has to continue to be pressed. It's like when you're in your office and you get a mail put in your box, and then somebody else puts something on top of that, and somebody else puts something on top of that. You got to make sure that thing is rotating fast and often. Keep pressing out. I believe that the changes that happen in this cycle, there is a lot of confusion that's going on. There's a lot of conversation about where do I vote, how do I vote, where do I go, those type of things. But if we continue to put that on the forefront and in front of the minds of our community members, everybody will understand what's going on.
Now is the time, if you have questions for our mayoral candidate, to make sure that they are turned in. Because I have one more question, and then we will have some from the audience. What inspired you, and I'm going to start with Mr. Barksdale, to run for mayor?
About 2.5 excuse me, about 2.5 years ago, when Mayor Herndon stepped down, there was some flip-flopping around, and I was down to the final 3 or 4, and I didn't get appointed. And I always had an interest in politics, local politics, but so it was just to me, there's the right timing. I believe that at 46 years old, I'm in between the younger generation and the older generation, and I see both sides of it. I just believe that Northport is at a crossroad, and I'm a firm believer in if your city isn't growing, your city's dying. And I really mean that. There is responsible growth. I'm not saying just throw something out there and see if it sticks. That's not what I'm saying. So I just started talking to folks, and I just think this election is more than one thing. I think it's a combination of several things. And young families are coming in. They have kids, and they're starving for things to do. They are. They're starving for things to do. They're having to leave Northport. They're going to Hoover. They're going to Tuscaloosa. We need to grow responsibly to keep young families to where they can live here, worship here, work here, and raise a family here. Thank you.
Mr. Crawford, what
Could you
inspired
repeat
you?
the question one more
Yes,
time?
I want to know what inspired you to run for mayor.
I've been in this town for 47 years. I've been through several city councils and several mayors, and all have done basically a good job. But I just think that at my age, I think I have a lot to contribute to the city. I've been in business in the city for 30-odd years. My daughter has a business now. But I just think that the city of Northport is really a good basic group of people. It's really a good community of people. And if we get the community together all in one vein, and when we vote, don't just vote for a sign on the side of the highway or either a box on the form. Get to know the people that you're voting, and where you don't have to worry about what decisions they're going to make, because you already know them well enough to know that they're going to make a decision in the best interest of the entire group and the community.
Mr. Lewis.
Well, I'm running for mayor because I believe our city is ready for leadership that is rooted in community trust, transparency, and collaboration. I raised my children here in Northport. My kids graduated from County High. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, been here 30 years. My wife from Memphis, Tennessee. And we grew up in cities, metropolitan cities. And so when we got married, we understood that we wanted to raise our family in a community that is family oriented. And that's why we're here. That's why we're still here. It ain't the red dirt that's in my clothes. We're here because we love Northport. We're here because we're rooted in this community, and we understand that this community is vibrant and well. I've worked on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the last 4.5 years, and I understand the path and the plans that the city has moving forward. I understand where we have some issues and concerns that we need to address. Listen, it is not a hard turn. Whoever we vote into the office of mayor to turn the city in the right way, it is not a hard turn. It's 2 notches. And the city will be moving in a direction that's going to benefit this whole town. It's going to blow your mind.
And Mr. Phillips, what inspired you?
I'm a lifelong Tuscaloosa County, Northport resident. And I've raised my children here, I've worked here, I went to school here. I shop here every day, I ride through Northport every day, and I watch TV. And when I hear Northport, our city, become the topic of every joke from every media outlet around, it upsets me. Like Mr. Lewis, I served on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I was chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. A lot of good things were done. A lot of hard things were done. It's not an easy job. We have to take our city and we have to instill some pride back to it. And we have to get it in a direction that we're no longer that joke. We're no longer that joke. I've ran for office twice before. I've been involved in city activities for the last 15 years or so. I know what's going on. In some ways, I don't know everything. I know a lot. But I think I can make a difference. I wouldn't do this if I didn't think I could make a difference. I think we can turn this city around and get it going in the right direction. And the first thing we do, the very first thing I will do as mayor of Northport is start to earn your trust. You will see things and you will be able to hold me accountable, but we will earn your trust.
We've gotten 2 questions from the audience that are pertaining to business development in Tuscaloosa. One is a little more general, and then we'll come back with one that's a little more specific. How will you support locally owned businesses, Northport businesses? What policies would you implement to give local business first opportunity versus out-of-town or out-of-state businesses? Mr. Crawford, would you begin?
Yes, I've been giving a lot of thought to this because we have a lot of vacant lots in town, and we have a lot of vacant buildings in town. And even though we're not in the real estate business, the real estate is very important to the city of Northport as far as taxes and expanding businesses. So a forum on a monthly or quarterly basis with the existing business owners and get them involved in it to let them give us feedback as to what businesses they would like to see come to town. And if they're interested in getting in that business, make it a way for them to accomplish that through zoning and planning and through the community itself. This would better the community for the local businesses. I've been a local business and I know a lot of local business people, and it does seem like the outsiders seem to get the upper hand because they come in here with the big bucks and the big contractors and the big engineering firms, and they just set it up and go with it. So I think a forum or a quarterly meeting with the local business owners and the managers of local businesses to get some feedback from them as to what they would like to see accomplished, because no one person knows what all the businesses need, and each individual business is very much determined what business they're in and what they need to advance their needs.
Mr. Lewis, local business?
I believe that small business and local entrepreneurs are one of the best ways we can grow our economy. I believe that supporting locally, shopping locally, purchasing from local businesses are the way that we can undergird a lot of the concerns that we have. I believe that we have to sit down in a room and have a conversation. What is it that you need? What is it that how can we support, how can the city support your business? How can the city make your business better? Having those conversations, I believe, rebuilding those bridges, I believe, will make our city a better place for everyone. There are certain entities that I believe that we can support and bring into this area that will help grow. We were looking for a restaurant the other day, and I was adamant to go in Northport, but I could not find that place that we were looking for to attend in Northport. We have to have those things here. We shop here. Those are the things that make our place better.
Mr. Phillips?
You know, for small businesses to be successful, we have to support them. We as citizens have to support them, okay? What can the city do? The city can follow proper bid laws. I'm not saying it don't, I'm just saying that we can follow proper bid laws. We can start a Northport First program, if you want to call it, to where outside businesses have to beat our local city businesses by a certain percentage on bids. We have to give our local businesses the opportunity for our business. Oftentimes we don't do that. If we, as leaders, bring in new businesses that are stable, that are what families and people need and want, then when you make one stop to shop, you're probably going to shop at another place near it. We don't do a very good job, and I'm not trying to be negative, but too many of our city businesses here have items, have products, have goods that the city of Northport goes outside and buys. I think we have to find a way to spend that money here, because if we don't lead by example, how can we expect our citizens to stop and spend money if the city's going out of town also?
And Mr. Barksdale?
Well, believe it or not, you can actually be running against each other and actually agree with the guys. Because they all kind of touched on a little bit of stuff that I agree on. Patronize local businesses. You have to. That's how they make their living. And I agree with Mr. Lewis. You have to communicate and listen to these small businesses as well. There's business owners in here that I know. But when you recruit a new business and you give them, and this is something that really bothers me, when you give them an incentive to come do business in your town, don't forget the small businesses that have been here before, because they deserve it too. Don't offer someone this, and then there's a a small business owner in the back there saying, well, I've been here 15 years and I haven't got that. Be fair and support those issues as well. But we have to patronize our businesses in Northport so we can keep the local tax dollars here.
So I'll give you the first shot at the last questions. Mr. Barksdale, get some water here. This is a more specific question. How can the city better utilize federal grants to help existing small businesses improve their store frontage? And the comment is that the current grants are unaffordable.
All right. Well, I think they have a committee doing. I thought they had a committee doing that now, but we have to. The council would have to work together to get the grants, and then, I mean, I'm not being negative here, but there are some small businesses when you come through Northport, some facades are beautiful, and then you get to the other and they have a weed that's 4 foot tall and they hadn't painted. But small businesses, hey, stuff costs money. So that's where the council I would hope would work together, and they would vote on and get the grants to give out to the small businesses to help them on their facades.
All right, Mr. Phillips?
I think we need to, I'm not against stealing ideas. Other cities are doing things to improve their facades. Other cities are doing things to improve their street fronts. I think we need to get some ideas, but we really need to start looking for grants, not wait for a grant to come to us, but go out and actually look for grants. Get involved with grant writers, get involved with lobbyists, try to find grants, try to find federal and state monies that are out there that other people are getting that maybe we're not getting. I don't like the word no. There's got to be something out there, got to be a way to resolve every situation. It may not always be what we want, but there's got to be there. We have to improve the areas that when you come into Northport, have you ever looked when you come across the bridge from downtown Tuscaloosa into Northport, the difference in scenery that you see? We have to take our city properties and improve. I once had somebody tell me that was the city's handshake to you when you came in, is what you first see. And we have to improve our handshake. It's hard to require a business to spend their hard-earned money when we as a city are not doing it ourselves.
Mr. Lewis?
Well, you stole my answer.
Some more agreement.
No, so communication, collaboration. Communication, collaboration. That's the only way we're going to be able to support each other. Yeah, it's okay to go and look at other communities and see how they're doing it and don't reinvent the wheel. Take what they're doing, implement into our community, take away the things that don't work, put the things that do, put together, and let's run with it. We're in the world, man, Northport is not the only city. Northport is not the only city that have issues with small businesses. Northport is not the only city that's growing. So let's go find other cities that's comparable to what we're doing, that's making the difference, take what they're doing, implement it here, and move forward.
And Mr. Crawford, federal grants.
Federal grants. Well, federal already scares me already. Anyway, I think we can start at home before we start trying to deal with someone else. I know the old Sonic property down there where the Sonic burned 4 or 5 years ago, and it sat there for 3 or 4 years in disarray. They finally tore the building down, and about 2 weeks ago they finally cleaned up the property. It was an eyesore. And that's something the city can do. They can clean it up, put it on a tax bill. I don't know if that's legal or not, but I think it probably is. And there's 2 or 3 vacant lots on Old Bridge Avenue, one next to the new tire store. It just sold, so maybe somebody's gonna clean it up. It's in bad shape. So I think before we can really go ask the federal government for our help, I think we pick up ourselves and get a lot of it done. But the city has a tremendous resources at their disposal for different projects around town. We've got a large department that cuts the grass. Well, what do they do in the wintertime when we're not having the grass cut? You know, we've got several old houses and old buildings in town that need to be removed. Now, there's some legal jumbo to jump through to do that, but before you let it sit there and just rot and fall down, it needs to be, I think they call it raised. I hadn't figured out why raised is tearing something down, but that's the way it works, I think. But there's a lot of things we could do before we go to the federal government, but I still think federal grant writers, or either hire a grant writer that knows what they're doing in town so that we can deal with them to get some federal grants.
Well, we have two questions that deal with driving around in Northport. Excuse me. If you're elected mayor, are you interested in creating a public transportation system? And if so, how would you work for that? And if not, why do you think that's inappropriate? And I'm going to start this time with Mr. Lewis.
Kick us off there.
I was praying you didn't start with me.
Sorry.
Listen, I believe that we have to have things that benefit the city. We have a little under 32,000 residents in our city. And so there are cities that are 2-3 times larger than ours that have a public transportation system that is not operative. It is not operative because the community doesn't benefit off of it. So we have to listen to our community and invest in the things that our community needs. If our community doesn't need a transportation system, then why do we invest in a transportation system?
Mr. Barksdale.
My answer is simple: no, because I don't think that's sustainable. First of all, and with 30-something, I'll make it simple. No, I don't. I'm not for public transportation. Sorry.
All right, Mr. Crawford, do you have any ideas on this subject?
Well, you could put, we'll play switch on the mics. You could just about walk from one end of Northport to the other in about half an hour. I mean, you're going to get on a bus, and by the time you wait on the bus, you could be where you're going to get. So, I mean, I don't really see the benefit of a public transportation system. Now, the infrastructure for the highways is a different story. We've, I-82, as I call it, which is it's interstate compared to what it used to be. I mean, when you get one end of town and the other in rush hour in less than 10 minutes, that's really good. But we've not done any infrastructure as far as studying internal traffic for the subdivisions. We've got Northwood Lake in the last 25 or 30 years, it's probably doubled in size. We've got Vestavia Hills, we've got all the, and the highways, the stop signs, the traffic signs, and the speed bumps. The speed bumps. Do you realize what happens to an emergency vehicle that hits a speed bump? It'll tear the front end out on a fire truck. So, taking care of our internal city streets with some kind of a study to better utilize the traffic patterns in the city, looking at the speed bumps, because if you're in Northwood Lake, Vestavia, and you hit a speed bump, you've got, first of all, you're risking a couple of minutes of an emergency vehicle getting to you, because an ambulance hitting a speed bump doesn't have a front end in it anymore. So I think, no, we don't need a local transportation.
Well, Mr. Phillips, do you agree or disagree?
Well, I guess I agree. I do agree with Mr. Barksdale. No, I don't think we need one, but I do think what we need to do is to have an analysis on the amount of usage that a public transportation system would have, an analysis on the amount it would cost the city to form and operate one, And I think we need to look at those numbers to see what our needs are. We need to look at the numbers of what our needs are versus what our cost would be. I don't think that they would match up. I don't think that the amount of usage versus the cost would work. So I have to say no, I don't think we need one. But I would be more than happy to do those analyses. But we have to understand that some things just won't pay for themselves. And I think we've all seen enough things going out that don't pay for themselves, and we have to be careful. I think there's other ways to meet the needs of those people that would need and rely on public transportation. I think there's a lot of different options that can be explored other than public transit, than a public transportation system. Like I said, I always think there's a resolution to every problem, but no, I don't think we need a public transportation system.
One of our audience members has asked to hear your thoughts, each candidate. There is a movement to have the state buy the toll bridge and remove the toll, then establish a truck route through Alabama 43 and Alabama 82 to get the through traffic off of Northport, off of McFarland. What are your thoughts? And I think this time it's fair to start with Mr. Crawford. I'm beginning to lose track of who I started with.
That would be a good idea. I happen to be from Gordo, Alabama. Does anybody know where Gordo is? In 1963, I was playing in a mud puddle up north of my house. They were surveying for a highway to bypass Gordo. 1963. What's this year? That's not finished yet. So whenever you think the bridge is going to be built in 69, and we can work on that for about 40 or 50 years down the road. I think we'll be wasting a lot of time. The people that use the toll bridge pay for the toll bridge, and it works fine for me. I don't see the necessity of jumping through those hoops and dealing with the highway department, the federal government, and God knows who else to get something like that accomplished.
Excuse me, I was listening. Mr. Phillips. go
Okay.
next.
The toll bridge has been there for a long time, and it served its purpose. It got us a bridge that we didn't have to pay for, so to speak. I would be for the state buying the toll bridge, removing the toll, as long as Northport had a vested stake in any amounts that it would cost the city of Northport. If we're not gonna get anything out of it, I'm not for Northport being involved in it, and therefore that would be a state purchase, which is probably gonna just be 100% state purchase anyway. But it would be a state purchase that would be left up to them. I would like to see if Northport's going to be involved in that, and that's what we're here for tonight, is talk about Northport. The state, if they wanna buy the bridge, they can buy the bridge. I would have to have, if Northport was going to be involved in that, we would have to have a way to relieve traffic on McFarland Boulevard and Lurleen Wallace. We'd have to have some assurances that traffic was going to be alleviated by that. Just to be involved in a bridge purpose, just so there wouldn't be a toll, or if we don't benefit from it, I would strongly have a problem of Northport being involved in it.
Mr. Barksdale?
If the state decided to buy it, go ahead. But I don't think Northport needs to be in the toll bridge business. I just unless it benefits Northport, stay away from it. That's just my opinion.
Mr. Lewis?
I'm gonna be about as simple as my friend just did. If it benefits Northport, we're all in. If it doesn't benefit Northport, why are we having a conversation?
Well, one more question from our audience, and this is a kind of a vision question. And you can tell us if this benefits Northport. What are your plans for developing where Bennett Marine used to be? And this time I'm going to start with Bennett Marine. The levee area. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Down under the bridge down there. Right?
You're talking about the whole area, not just.
Yeah, that area down there.
Venice Marine is already developed.
Okay.
It's got a business.
Do you have any visions for that area going forward. And I will start. Mr. Barksdale, you've got the
Now,
microphone.
so the Bennett, you said Bennett, the old levy, is that what you're talking?
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
There's a business there right now.
Okay, okay.
But retail, shops, I mean, y'all can laugh all you want, but why not a Tacky Jack's or something on the river? Sit down restaurants, something, an entertainment district. That the Black Warrior River is one of the biggest assets Northport has, and in my opinion, I know you're going to say, well, what about River Run? I get all that. There's still more assets that we're not using, and the Black Warrior River is one of them. So, entertainment district, retail, restaurants, stuff like that for families to enjoy.
Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Okay.
You got the microphone.
We've got a good start on it with the baseball fields. You can't really see the baseball fields from in your road. You've got to go down to the old lock and dam down there to actually see the baseball fields. But there's plans to put restaurants and stuff, and you've got the grain elevator there is in the way for a lot of it. But you've got to come on back up the creek and up the river, and you've got some property there. There's been some, I think there's some Indian burial grounds there that caused a glitch in some work several years ago, if I'm not right, Chuck, that caused some problems there. But there's plenty of room to, additional restaurants, playground areas for adults or kids.
Go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
I agree with the restaurants and other entertainment areas that would bring more revenue to the city. Again, when you're going as a young family looking for places to spend the evening with, and you have to go to another city to spend your money in order to enjoy that, and you know that there are places that those same type of restaurants can be in your city, and those are the type of things we want to bring to increase the revenue here.
And closing us out, Mr. Phillips.
The area down there that you're talking about, I remember it as Bennett's Marina. I guess I'm old. I've been around a long time, but I remember when Bennett's Marina was there, the old drawbridge and everything. We have a great start in downtown Northport. Our downtown area needs to explode. We need to, losing Kentuck was a terrible loss, because that's what our downtown was built on. We need to go back, and we need to start developing downtown. We're not after a party central. We have that across the river. Let that stay across the river. But we need those people wanting to come on our side of the river and enjoy themselves. A place for families, a place for people of all ages, activities of all kinds. But I'll tell you, I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to be a little negative right here, but 2 councils ago, we had an opportunity to get a start, and we screwed that up. Now we got to start over, and I believe it can be done. But the first thing we got to do is we got to learn to sit down with our partners at the county commission, at the state level, at the city of Tuscaloosa, which we don't do a very good job in Northport anymore of doing. We've got to mend some relationships, and we've got to get back to the table. And once we get back to the table, then we can start negotiating the arrangements that it's going to take to do that. It can be done. Our downtown area can be developed and be what it should be. But we have to learn to sit at the table and talk.
On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Greater Tuscaloosa, I want to thank all of you for stepping up, qualifying to run for mayor, for making campaigns, and for coming here tonight to talk to all of your constituents here. And could we have a round of applause for these gentlemen? Says 6:48, and I'm betting that at 6:55, by 6:55, we will have our council members set up for questions. So you've got about 7 minutes to take a little break here if you need to.
What's up, buddy? I see you sold your house out there at the airport. Oh, you did? You rented it? I know the end of the road going to the airport. Somebody, you rented it? You rented it? Check right to you, check one, two. I'm 7 again. Well, we don't have Blue Angels coming in. My daughter would love it. We'll see you around. Yes.
How are you doing? That was a good one.
Yeah, I know.
Check 1, 2.
I think it's big enough feedback. Should I stand over here or here? Should I stand over here? I can stand here. Keep going. Keep talking. Yeah. Here we go. Up back. That's good. This is, I think it's better. We're getting feedback.
Every time they do it, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, running at one time.
Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. Two, 1, 2, right check. Test the
More later.
We're doing great, doing great. So our daughter is going to her sophomore year. Yes. Yes. And our son is going into his junior year. Yeah. Can you believe that?
Oh, it's been a minute.
Yeah, we got a good one.
Okay, everybody knows how to use the microphone? Go ahead and say it.
Check.
I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Test.
Have a new moderator. And as you're getting to your seats, I should have mentioned earlier that we are being live streamed by WVUA, and that this forum is also being videoed to be posted on the LWV Tuscaloosa YouTube channel. So if you wish to rewatch any portion of it, or to get your friends who were not able to be here tonight, there are many ways to make this information available. The League of Women Voters was created 105 years ago, and yes, we register voters, and yes, we try to get the voter turnout on election days, but the primary reason for the organization of the League of Women Voters 105 years ago was to make sure that voters are informed when they are casting their votes. And that's why we have forums like this. So as we are now all in our seats, I do want to make one little announcement. You did a really good job of writing your questions and all that. Please hand them only to people who are wearing LWV buttons. See what an LWV button looks like? League of Women Voters button. And a League of Women Voters person is the person who should collect your questions and deliver them up front. So without further ado, here are our candidates for Northport City Council. I'm going to move my roster just a little bit here so that I can see what I'm doing. And I think we will just begin and go down. Oh, I should mention, is the candidate for District 5 here? Yes, okay. Would you stand up and introduce yourself? And we can get a microphone. Susan, can you get a microphone too? Introduce yourself and say you are from District 5.
I'm good.
Okay, he's good.
I'm Danny Higdon, for those that don't know me.
Okay. So he's here tonight, but he's not on our panel because he is running unopposed. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we don't ever have empty seat or unopposed people. So instead, we now have, I think we're running left to right here in numerical order. So why don't we just start and go down the table, introduce yourself, and because some of the people are saying they can't always see you, but I have, as moderator, made a ruling that you're not going to have to pop up every time you answer a question. So if you will just introduce yourself into your microphone, we'll make sure your microphones work as we go down the line here. Thank you. button to the top. Button to the top. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
This is an outrage against District
One. Here we go.
I am Christy Bobo. I'm the incumbent for District 1. And did you want us to give an introduction or just our names?
Just your
our
name.
names. All right. Here you go.
Turnley Smith, District 1.
Orlando Edwards, District 2.
Zach Stone, District 2.
Monroe Washington III, District 2.
Jamie Conger. District 3.
She's holding her mic close to her mouth, and that'll be a good idea for everybody to hold it close to your mouth.
Carl Wiggins, District 3.
Holt Clark in District 4.
Jamie Dykes, District 4.
Okay, now, everybody got it together? All right, take a deep breath, here we go. I'm gonna start with Mr. Washington. Many Northport citizens have told us that the last few years have been tumultuous and emotionally exhausting. If you are elected, will you support changes in the operations of the City Council to improve transparency about its decisions and shore up confidence in the leadership at City Hall? 2 minutes.
I think, for me, speaking for myself, I've always believed in being transparent. I'm always have an open door.
We don't think your microphone. Okay, really close to your mouth.
How about this?
Yeah.
All right, good deal. All right, thank you.
That's better.
I've always have had an open door policy. I mean, for me, every day, once we have council meeting, I'm normally there early, and I'm the last one to leave the council chamber. My phone number is out in the system, out in the public, and everybody's always welcome to call or reach out. I've always believed in if you have a question, you ask me, and I will give you an answer. If I can help you, I'm gonna help you. If I can't, I can't. But I believe we should all work together. You say transparent. I mean, every meeting is open. Every committee meeting is open. Every council meeting is open. And everybody's welcome to be at the meetings. There's no closed door meeting at the council, except the executive sessions. Other than that, I think you just have to come and show up, to be involved and listen and watch and see what's going on. Thank you.
And I'm going to be skipping around again and not necessarily going district by district or anything like that. So, Mr. Wiggins, will you support changes in the operations to improve transparency and shore up confidence?
I think, yes, I would support changes. I think that they have to be well considered because, if you think about council meetings or planning and zoning meetings, those are there to do business, so it can't turn into a forum for everybody to just say whatever they want to say. And I think one of the things that we need to do a better job is figuring out how to communicate things to the public. I think social media is a method, but I've also talked to a lot of older voters who are like, I'm not on social media, how do I know about these things? And there's not a great answer to that because, there's not really newspapers that everybody subscribes to, there's not really TV channels that everybody watches, and I think we need to think more about how we communicate and do it over and over and over again. I had my wife tell me today she showed a video that I did about River Run Park, and the person she showed the video to was like, where is this? I've never heard about this, So, even a project as big as that one, people haven't heard about them. And so I think we do need to do a better job of being transparent, of communicating, and of just, making sure people understand how to get in touch with us or speak to us about things. But yeah, I'd be open to whatever we could do to try to communicate better with the public.
Ms. Dykes, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely believe that there are some things that we could do better, and honestly, I believe it starts with the top down, and that is going to be one of our tasks, is hiring a city administrator and someone who not only believes that, but actually does that and has transparency from the top down, making sure all department heads know information that's going out. The citizens are able to get in touch with council people, department heads, to address issues. Also, having public forums, that's something that, you know, we have not done a very good job of, and I take responsibility. And I think that it's necessary for a change, and it's time for a change.
Ms. Bobo?
Hi, I just learned a whole lot from listening to the mayoral candidates, and I really appreciate them being here and giving their time to spread that. What I learned the most is something that's been repeated over the last 2 years. We need a public information officer. There needs to be a dedicated person within our city who is helping spread the information that's going on, the truth that's out there. There are a lot of things that were just talked about during the previous session that we're already working on. There is a boardwalk that we are planning out at River Run Park that is going to extend down the length of the river. So there are things that we're working on that have not been expressed well enough to the public, and it's turned into a full-time job. It's time to have someone in a role that it is their position to help us get the right information out to people. So I think it's very important to help promote that transparency. We are all working to do that the best that we can, but there's definitely time for a full-time staff member to be doing it.
Mr. Edwards, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I think we need transparency in the city council. There's been too many times that decisions have been made behind closed doors. You know, it's just a strange situation that, you know, about the beach resort, that people didn't realize what was really going on. So yes, I do think there need to be transparency and accountability.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Smith.
Might you repeat that, please?
Oh, I'd be glad to. Hold on, Mr. Smith. I want to get straight on this. If you are elected, will you support changes in the operations of the city council to improve transparency about its decisions and shore up confidence in the leadership at City Hall?
We're all here because we want to make Northport better, right? Everybody here wants to make Northport better. And we all have our own ideas of what that looks like. I think absolutely we could be more transparent, we can communicate more. Even if we feel like we're doing 100% at that, we can still be better at that. I think instead of going to City Hall, we've got to focus more on getting out into the community. I think it's our responsibility, whoever gets elected, it is our responsibility to be in the community more. I have shared this idea of getting out in the community, talking to the mayors of the neighborhoods. Everybody has their own mayor in their neighborhood, and I want to meet those mayors. I want to have a meeting of the mayors, and I want to talk about the problems. I want to talk about the good things. I want to talk about everything that we can do to make Northport better. So I intend to have a regular meeting with if it's an HOA president, if it's just someone who likes to gossip. I want to meet with those people because they know what's going on. And I think having that connection with the community on the street level, that's the most important thing. We can sit in our ivory tower all we want to, but until we're down with the community, talking about things that everybody has concerns about and really working on that, that's when we can go to City Hall, educated, and have a good plan of what we're going to do once we get there. And I think that's why it's important, because it's going to be everybody's voice going back to City Hall, not just mine. I think I got 5 seconds.
And I want to mention, since we have 9 people to answer every question, I have assured the candidates that I will be glad to repeat the questions, and they've also been given notepads and pens if they want to take notes, since it may be a little while before I get to them. But now I'm going to get to Mr. Stone.
Yes, ma'am. So I have plans, that if I'm elected, to have biannual town hall meetings for District 2 and really be anybody in the city who would like to come. Just them give me an opportunity to pass down information and also give the people from my district to speak to me directly about concerns they may have, questions about projects that maybe they don't quite understand fully. And there's also, early on, when I first decided to run for city council, I had a thought that I would have an advisory board of people from the community, and maybe just regular citizens to business owners, to maybe some local pastors from my district, just to get to me, your business owners and your pastors, and like Charlie was saying, maybe your HOA presidents, they have a really good feel for the community and what the needs are. And I would just like to have some regular meetings among those people, and as well as attending HOA meetings. I've done that a couple of times this year so far, and I think that just putting myself out there and open public meetings like that just gives people a more comfortable platform to approach me, and it's just open and honest. And as my buddy Woodrow said, if you ask me a question, I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Ms. Conklin?
Well, I agree with a lot of what's been said, but I think it starts with, it helps if every district's representative knows what's going on. And the current committee structure that is in place at City Hall is broken. There is a better way for all council members to be involved in decisions, and that is something called a work session. It's totally viable. Other cities of similar sizes use that, and that way each person's council member is in there and knows what's going on. Because when I go into the neighborhood, when I go into these meetings, I want to be able to tell you what's going on, and I want to know that I was at the table when it was discussed. And so that's one thing at the top I would like to see. I do believe we need to get information out there better. I've talked to several citizens in District 3, and the idea of a listserv or a social media page, something where it is a natural, if you want that information, maybe you don't do social media, maybe you do email. Well, when that council agenda comes out, when that planning and zoning agenda comes out, it gets pushed out to you so that you can let me know, hey, that property's around the corner and there's something you need to know. And I can be better prepared and better represent the people and my neighbors in my community.
And Mr. Clark, we haven't forgotten you.
Yeah, thank you. Going last, you get the advantage of hearing all the ideas, and they're all pretty good. Sorry, I'm in a stadium, surround sound. I would say they're all great. I'm for upgrading live streaming for city council meetings and with committee meetings. Like Dale said, streaming needs to be where everybody knows what's going on and can hear and understand. I've listened from my house and I can't hear a word. Maybe include closed caption with some of these things. Give them online tools for feedback, and just listen to the people and see what kind of ideas they have on how we can get more information out to them.
Okay, now, at the request of the people who send in questions, we're going to go district by district, and I'm going to ask the incumbents one question, and the people who are running new for that district a different question. For the incumbent, I'm going to start with Ms. Bobo. Okay. Name one past vote you cast you would now change, and one vote that you cast that contributed to a better quality of life in Northport. One you would change, one you are very proud of.
One past vote that I think people would expect me to say that I would change would be the due diligence period that we had on exploring selling of the building that we're in right now. And the reason why I wouldn't change that due diligence period is because I do believe that it's important to listen to every voice. And that's what we were doing. We were going through a period of due diligence to get people's ideas and to get proposals. We never voted on selling this building, and I'm proud to have changed the direction of it by pulling it off the table. We were never in a vote to actually sell the property. We were in an exploration period. So I think that's something that some people might expect me to say, that I would change my mind on that, because it did appear to be a shift in the way things were going. I'm proud of the votes that we've had on River Run Park. I'm proud of the votes that we've had on renovating the historic buildings in downtown Northport, and especially proud of the Next Kids Playground vote and just getting more activities for kids to be able to enjoy.
Mr. Smith, since you're running against her, tell us one specific city project that would contribute to a better quality of life in Northport.
I think just thinking about a city project that would contribute to Northport in terms of, my heart's in downtown. My heart is in the Main Avenue and all of that, because that's what brought us here. That's what made us move to Northport and to begin with. And we like being able to walk to downtown. I think if we can get our heart right, the heart of downtown Northport, I feel like if we can get that right, and believe me, it's great down there. It is great, but it could be so much greater. And it doesn't, I'm not talking about tens of thousands of people. I'm not talking about 6-story buildings. I'm talking about it could be better from a design standpoint. The usable space that's down there, the restaurants, the stores, it could be so much better. And I think if we can get that heart of Northport so much better than what it is now, everything kind of grows from there, right? And I think from a design standpoint, you know, those are the decisions we have to make. We have to look at what are we bringing into downtown Northport or anywhere else that's going to benefit us, yes, next year, but 10 years from now, 30 years from now. We've got to make those decisions, and we've got to look long term to make sure that we're not messing up what could be. And that's what I want to bring to the table, is being able to make those kind of decisions. I think downtown Northport is probably, and that goes Riverwalk and spreads all down through there. And don't get me started on the river, because there's a lot of work that can be done on the river.
All right, let's move to District 2. So, Mr. Washington, you know you're going to be on the spot. Let me repeat the question now. Name one past vote you cast that you would now change, and one vote that you cast that contributed to better quality of life in Northport.
You know, for me, I think this is a real hard one. Possibly agency funding, probably giving more in different places. But you know, for me, one of the most important things was making sure that our employees receive their cost of living. So changing agency funding, because I was always an advocate for employees. But my thought always been, we have to take care of our employees first before we take care of people outside of Northport. So making sure that they receive their cost of living and step raises every year was really important to me, because of inflation's economy, and they have kids to raise, groceries to buy, and the need for finances to be stronger, and that retains employees, quality employees in the city of Northport. Some of the proud moments is getting the Boys and Girls Club back to Northport, getting Focus Plus back to Northport, or to Northport, you know, creating different events for everybody in the city, you know, Groove and Grub, Touch a Truck, Holiday at City Hall, different events like that. You know, some say, why we waste money, but it's all about quality of life for everybody in the city. And I believe River Run Park is gonna be one of the biggest things that you're gonna see in Northport, just because our kids in this city are gonna have a chance to play quality tournament baseball and softball. So those would be, thank you.
Mr. Stone, tell us one specific city project that would contribute to better quality of life in Northport.
I would have to agree that the River Run Park, probably one that I would think of first. It is gonna provide, state-of-the-art baseball fields for a lot of young people. One thing that does concern me about the park is the management of it and the opportunities for the kids at Kentucky Park. I've heard some things about that I don't know all the details too, but from what I've heard, there's not going to be as many opportunities as one would think locally. But I do think overall, it is going to bring in some businesses to go along with that, because if people come to Northport to play and need places to stay and places to eat, so I think that may in the future help draw in more businesses that the actual citizens could enjoy too.
Mr. Edwards, one specific project that you think would improve the quality of life?
The one specific project.
Microphone close.
I'm nervous, this is my first time.
Yeah, that's fun. We just want to hear what you have to say.
To me, the River Run project is a great project. I went out there, I saw it Saturday, it looked very good. But I'm also big on education. Today, Riverside and Matthews is looking into a position to where it's sad. You take 1% tax, and you said that $350,000 divided amongst 10 schools. Okay, 10 schools, $350,000, but you got $350 million resorts, and probably what, $60 million baseball field. But you got Riverside and Matthews looking like a shambles. What price is it that the students gonna pay to have a better education and a better way of life? What price is it they gonna pay? What price is it the teachers gonna pay? Because you wanna build a resort that is not benefiting no one. $800,000 condominium, luxury apartments. You got the baseball field, but look at Riverside and Matthews. Look at the other neighborhoods that have been left behind. You talk about you don't want public transportation. Have y'all ever been into the neighborhoods that where low-income people live at? You have a lot of people that want to work, but don't have transportation. So why is it that it's a crime to put public transportation into the city of Northport? I don't understand that. It don't add up.
And moving on to District 3. So we have our incumbent is Mr. Wiggins, and I'll repeat the question because it's been a little while. One past vote you cast that you would now change, and one vote that you cast that contributed to better quality of life in Northport.
I think the vote that, to be honest, I think the one that I would change is probably the vote on opening up the community center to sell it. Although I don't regret it, because I think it led to, for me, understanding. I was only on the council for a month or two when that happened, and I think I didn't really understand how meaningful this park and this center was to people. And I don't regret it, because one of the things we did, I think, is make better use of it and, repair it, invest in some of the city properties that had been neglected over the years and had not been maintained like they should have been, and I think we need to do a better job of that going forward. I think River and Park is an easy one that is going to improve quality of life, because it's going to bring money into Northport, and it's going to give us opportunities to invest those funds in other ways. But I also think the investment in repairing some of the city properties was valuable as well.
Ms. Conger, that question is one specific city project that you think would contribute to better quality of life in Northport.
Well, the thing that I would say is not the most fun, it's not the most party thing, but I don't know if you've been to District 3 lately, but we have a flooding problem. And if we do not focus our city efforts on the infrastructure problems in District 3 and in other districts as well, long-term is going to be a bigger problem, and we need to get a handle on it. I have walked more creeks, culverts, and other things I probably don't know the right name for because I'm a lawyer, not an engineer. But and something has got to be done. You know, I keep saying, I meet citizens, they don't care about the lagoon down 82, they care about the lagoon in their backyard. And I know I keep saying that, but I hope if I keep saying it, maybe we'll actually do something about it. And that's gonna take some partnership with other entities, and that was mentioned earlier on the other panel. You know, we gotta start playing well with others to come up with these big solutions for these big problems. And until we come to the table and start working together, our citizens deserve better infrastructure. And it may not be the most fun, exciting thing I could say up here, but if we don't have the best infrastructure, you're gonna have a whole big problem growing the city in other ways.
Okay. And now for District 4, Ms. Dykes, you are the incumbent, so I ask you first, one past vote you cast that you would now change, and one vote that you think contributed to a better quality of life in Northport.
Well, boy, that's a no-brainer for me because I'm reminded of it every time I get on social media. But it would be the suspension of the rules when University Beach came onto the scene. And what people don't understand is, even if I had voted yes, that vote was going to take place in 24 hours, period. It would never have stopped University Beach. It just would have delayed that action taking place. And if I could go back and do it over again, then that's exactly what I would do. But moving on to what's more positive, and this is kind of a twofold for me because I really have been invested in River Run Park as a former player and coach. That has just been a dream come true. But I think the thing that I'm most proud of is, I'm gonna have to agree with Mr. Washington, is our COLA raises for our employees. Our employees are the foundation of this city, whether you realize it or not. Everybody is very important to us, and that makes our city, and be able to give them a better quality of life has been something that will always go down, I think, in this council's history.
Mr. Clark, I'm so sorry you're the last one again, but I'll get you soon. Trust me. So one specific city project that you think would contribute to a better quality of life?
Yeah, with District 4, we have an identity problem. It's basically 6943 to Union Chapel to Mitt Larry, a little bit above. There's one sit-down restaurant. I'd like to see more restaurants in the area, nicer restaurants, and more importantly, a community park. There's not one park inside District 4. I think Ms. Dykes agrees on that one, that we would like to see a community area, commune area where people can get together, spend time with their neighbors, keep the money with restaurants in that area, and just kind of build a little bit of identity for that area.
Well, our candidates will not be surprised that we got some questions about the University Beach project. The University Beach developers project a stream of more than 600,000 visitors a year. And I have two questions. What measures should the City Council take to ensure that the city's infrastructure, water supply, sewage treatment, and so forth, can handle the increased demand? And specifically, will utility rates increase to cover the needed upgrades? Okay, let's go through that again. Measures to ensure that the infrastructure can handle the increased demand, and specifically, will utility rates increase to cover the needed upgrades? As a council member, what would you say? Mr. Clark, you get to go first this time.
All right, thank you. Good question. Infrastructure in the water park is very important. I would have to go and look at the budgets to see where we are with, as far as if utilities will rise. you would think when you redo the budgets, you're gonna have to factor in that with, you know, the next council. I would have to be honest and say that it looks like something will have to give to make that work out. I'm not for the water park, so I am very, I don't know, torn on this. So I would think that it would probably have to rise and the money would have to come from somewhere.
Then skip down to Mr. Washington. Shall I repeat the question?
Yes.
Okay. What measures should the council take to ensure that the city's infrastructure, water and sewage and so forth, can handle the demand, and specifically will utility rates increase?
All right, infrastructure. And since 2020, that's been one of my biggest things, only because in District 2, I'm sorry. Since 2020, that's been one of my biggest things. You know, I brag about District 2 has received almost $100 million, you know, into the district in the past 5 years, only because District 2 has been starving for infrastructure work, for projects and things like that. But on most council agenda, you see projects dealing with our pumps, our infrastructure. And the good thing about being in District 2, you know, we're in the older district, everything flows to District 2. So a lot of money has been pumped into District 2 for infrastructure. And that leads back towards University Beach, up 43, up 69. So a lot of money is invested right now, and there's more money continue to get invested into, especially my district and most of the parts of the town. Water bill rates, I mean, I'm just like everybody else. I have a water bill. Better yet, I have about 7 water bills. And do I want my water bill to go up? No. But everybody knows to continue to have quality water, you know, you have to invest back into a quality water. So, but at the end of the day, you know, I wouldn't dare want my water to grow up, but just because of just being a realistic person, you're gonna have to continue to put money back to make sure that we have the quality of water that you want. You know, you hear about people, my water was brown, my water stopped, or, you know, that's just because things fail and you have to increase, you know, projects. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, your thoughts on infrastructure that will sustain the University Beach project and specifically water bills?
So, the first thing I think is the infrastructure, water, sewer, that's already been figured out, right? We're at the point right now that that's already been figured out because they're moving dirt up there. So that should have already been figured out. So it's, to me, it's not an issue when I get into office. It's not an issue, it's already been figured out. Because you don't start a big problem like that, or, I'm sorry, a big project.
Back on task, folks, back on task.
You don't start a big project like that without figuring those things out. And so, in my mind, water and sewer are not a problem. That stuff's been figured out. That was figured out a long time ago. Because that's what you do. You figure those things out first, then you build a project. So that's where I am with that. If we didn't build anything else, our water bills are going to rise, right? Cost of living is going to rise. Our clothes are going to, the cost is going to rise. So water is going to rise. It shouldn't have to rise just because we're bringing in more uses of water. Again, that should have been figured out on the front end. We should have figured out where we're getting the water from. It should have been designed that way, and it just shouldn't be an issue. So in my opinion, these are questions that, if the project was done correctly, those are not issues. We don't have to look backward. We're looking forward. So that's my take on that.
Mr. Edwards, your thoughts about infrastructure and specifically the water bills?
Okay, I'm gonna stand up on this one.
Okay, stand up and hold that mic close.
Okay. My thought about the water park, I don't agree with it. Specifically because that $350 million, the $60 million that the city gonna have to get developers who is suspects. Once again, education. True to the game, like the young people say, true to the game. If you true to the game, why are you gonna build a $350 million resort where you know if something happened there, there's gonna be an uproar by the citizens that live there? Okay, second. Once again, Riverside and Matthews, Crestmont, all look rough. But you don't want to reconstruct the schools. You don't want to revitalize the schools. Why? Riverside and Matthews on the riverfront property, 1% tax, okay? 1% tax for the schools and everything. When they say 1% tax, that means that you could use that tax to buy Riverside and Matthews. Riverfront property is expensive, but why not, rebuild Matthews and Riverside on the same property? Why? It's been in our neighborhoods for years and years and years. I don't understand it. All because you want to build riverfront property up down there. It don't agree with me. And the river resort and all that, I don't agree with none of it.
Ms. Conger, shall I repeat the question?
I think I can remember it.
All right.
I took notes. We'll see how that goes.
Infrastructure and utility rates.
I know. I feel like I just talked about infrastructure and water. It's just a different water question. I honed in on something that Turnley said a minute ago, if done correctly. Did y'all hear him say that? And it dawns on me how little I know on whether anything's been done correctly. And that makes it very difficult to answer this question. So I would say my concern overall, and I think I've been very clear about this, is making sure things have been done correctly. And when you say 600,000 visitors, I look up to our law enforcement in the back of the room and the firefighters that I've been talking to, and I'm thinking, we're going to need a lot more of them. We're going to have road issues. We're going to have issues. Where are these employees coming from? We have businesses in town, I'm sure some of you know, who can't find people to work there. But we're going to have 600,000 visitors. So I have a lot of questions about all of the other things that come along with, if things have been done correctly, as Mr. Smith says, then we're on to the next issue, and that concerns me because there's a lot I don't know. And I promise if elected, I'm going to know. We're going to get in there, we're going to research, we're going to do the things we need to do to make sure we get on track. And that's what I would like to focus on.
Ms. Dykes, would you like to speak to infrastructure and specifically water bills?
I could probably talk about this for about the next 45 minutes, but you don't want to hear that. Right, Mr. Smith was correct. A lot of this has been planned out. But how far out has it been planned? And like he said, has it been done correctly? We're so in the beginning stages of this. Yes, they are moving dirt, and there are some issues that are being addressed with the infrastructure. But I'm like Ms. Conger, there are a lot of things I want to know that I don't know about this project, and I'm sitting here on this council. I think there are a lot of issues that have to be addressed, and not just the infrastructure for the water park, but for the rest of the city. We have an issue in my district because the sewer does not go all the way up Highway 69. So it makes it very difficult for developers to come in and have, develop a new neighborhood or townhouses or whatever. I believe there was a question in there about the water bill. I mean, I'm not a rocket science, but it's a lagoon, people. We've got to fill it up. You know, they're not, unless something has changed, they're not pulling that water out of the Warrior River. So it's gonna come from somewhere. And my thought is that most likely it will go up. Has that conversation been had yet? Not to my knowledge, but just being realistic, I can't see that it won't.
Mr. Wiggins, do I need to repeat the question?
No, ma'am,
Okay.
I think I can follow it. So the projects to accommodate the water park are already underway. There is a water treatment, sewage treatment outflow project that is moving the outflow of the sewage treatment plant to the river from the creek where it empties currently. That is a project that's coordinated with the Corps of Engineers. It's a multi-year project that's been going on. So on the sewage side, yes, that will allow us to have greater capacity with the entire system. The 82 West Pump Station, which is a project that we've been working on for quite some time for the water system, that is also going to, it's right across the street from where the University Beach project is, so that's going to accommodate the water. Obviously, filling that lagoon, they're gonna have to pay for the water to go in the lagoon. We're not giving it to them for free, so I don't anticipate that the project itself will increase water rates. I know there are other things that we need to do infrastructure-wise. There's a District 3, basically, we don't have any additional sewage capacity, so we can't add any houses in District 3. So there's an $8 to $10 million sewage project that needs to take place to expand the sewer system up Highway 69. We're exploring getting grant money for that. We're exploring other methodology, but basically there are other infrastructure things that we need to do that may increase rates. I don't know that there's no plan to do that, but it's a possibility. I don't think University Beach is going to contribute to that, though.
Mr. Stone, you're still on University Beach, then. Tell us what you think about the management of infrastructure and specifically the water bills.
Early in the campaign season, I went to Harbor Creek. It was probably my first stop as far as knocking on doors. And I spoke to several people who live in that neighborhood who have already been experiencing water pressure issues due to University Beach. One lady in particular, she's had her pressure release valve blown 3 times. And her neighbor across the street actually came home one evening to a flooded house where a pipe burst due to the high pressure. And right around the corner from her house, they were experiencing low pressure. So, and it could be, changing from day to day or week to week. I don't really know the time frame of when all this happened. But, so I know there's been some effects already from people in District 2 related to University Beach. And going to, as far as infrastructure, we talk a lot about the sewage, but the roadways, we all live in Northport, so we all drive here every day, and there is congestion out the yin yang every afternoon when I come home. It's like fighting just to get from where I work to get home. There's no clear path. You can try to cut through like we used to, and it just doesn't happen anymore. So I think that part of the infrastructure really needs to be done. And going back to Turnley, I know he said it, and Jamie kind of dovetails, so I'm going to dovetail too. This project was done properly in the beginning. There should have been a good risk analysis done on the water, the roadways, the first responders. And again, I don't know, maybe that was done, but I have not heard that, I have not seen that personally. But as a person who has led projects where I work, that's just the base, that's like the basic things you do before the project ever launched or you ask for money. And as far as rates increase, it would be a shame for us to raise our rates for water when we're already giving this project $22 million and promise them $63 million in tax abatements. That would be a shame on the city to increase our rates.
And Ms. Bobo, we have not heard your thoughts on this, and let's get a microphone to her. And I think we will have covered everyone. Ms. Bobo.
I think one of the elephants in the room that we kind of danced around and haven't really talked about is the money that has been pledged to University Beach. That money is being pledged as a reimbursement for infrastructure that they are putting in. So the city is not putting in the infrastructure for that project. The developer is putting the infrastructure in and has the ability to apply for reimbursement for those expenses up to a certain percentage. So yes, there were infrastructure studies. Yes, we were lacking. Yes, they are having to put that in before it is built out. What I don't personally agree with is when a new business, specifically a restaurant, wants to come to downtown Northport, District 1, District 2, what have you, because it's so closely together, them having to put in their own water sewer. I feel like we should have water and sewer going to those properties so that people will want to invest and bring new businesses to our city. The good thing about that is that we have started within the last 2-3 months a study for that, so we know where we stand and where we are lacking in that, so that we can look for funding to put towards that. Will the utility rates increase? I think it's been said a couple of times. Yes, utility rates are always going to fluctuate with, just like cost of living will. I don't think that utility rates would increase because of this project. I think that is absolutely something that no one on the council currently would want. We don't want to burden the citizens with extra taxes. We're looking for ways to find extra revenues to come into the city so that we can reduce those taxes.
We got one more question about University Beach. Please don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reading the question. Many residents are concerned that the University Beach project will never be completed. What are the contingency plans in case that happens? And I'm going to start this time with Ms. Dykes, and I just really am going to go right down the table this time. Contingency plans should University Beach not be completed. Ms. Dykes?
I think that's a very good question. Given the history of the developer in Texas, I think that is a very viable question from our citizens. Honestly, I don't know what our contingency plans are because everyone is planning on it being successful. I don't think that's a conversation that has even been had yet. And what if he doesn't make it? That I do know that we will get our property back if something happens. The money, the original 11 acres that we had. But as far as what will happen to that property, he still owns that property. So if it fails, he is still the owner of that property, and he will have the determination on whether he wants to sell it or he wants to do something else with it. So at this point, I certainly have not had that conversation with him.
Mr. Clark.
Sorry. I'm not sure where we are. I mean, I know I don't have the information that the current council has. I would think that I know the city gets their land back and the developers currently own that land. So hopefully we have a plan in place for new development, and with the new hotel coming in, hopefully they have a plan as well. So as far as what I know, that's about as much as I can answer on that question.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins.
So the development agreement that was signed in February 2024, if the water park is not built and operating within 5 years, then the land that the city bought, which is the 11.7 acres, reverts back to the city. If they do not build the infrastructure, they don't get reimbursed for it. So we have the $20 million in the bond that the city took out would not be used for the park because they didn't build the infrastructure. So they have to build it, they have to operate the park. The tax abatements that they're supposed to get only apply if the park is built and operating for the entire 30-year agreement. So if they don't do what they said they're gonna do, they still own the land that they bought, but the city's obligation basically goes away. We'll still own the 12 acres. We will still have the bond and the bond payment, but as far as the University's beach obligation, those go away if the developer doesn't build what he says he's gonna do. And credit to our legal team that put the agreement together over a year to protect the city in that way.
Ms. Conger, do you have thoughts?
I do.
You have 2 minutes.
Let me put my lawyer hat on. There's obviously been a contract done. And I do think the legal team at the city drafted that contract as they were directed by the majority of the council that was there at that time. And I'll let you draw whatever inference from that you will. I think because of that, I think what's important for those who sit on the new council is to have outside counsel review all of those contracts to see where we are, what these contingencies that Mr. Wiggins is talking about, what are the obligations on them? Because I'm going to tell you, looking at that agreement, I would disagree that it was really drafted in the city's favor. It looks like it was drafted so that the people could build their park or maybe walk with the money. But that's just me. So I think it's important to get outside counsel in. Let's look at that agreement and let's hold everybody to what they signed up for. And if they don't complete what's on their side, then that's something we need to look at.
Mr. Washington?
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Wiggins, said a lot, and he's 100% accurate what he said, so I'm not going to try to repeat it. My thing is, anytime you go in business, COVID taught us a lot. Anything can happen. Life can happen. Things can happen. But, our legal team done their job, done their homework, and, anytime somebody go out and want to start a business, no matter who it is, anybody in this room can go and start a business. And there's a possibility that anything can fail. I mean, that's just business. So the plan is in place, the legal team worked, and it was more than just the city legal team. It was attorneys outside the city that was doing work as well. So that's it.
Mr. Stone?
I don't really think I can add any more than already been said about it. I don't, like I said, I don't really know what the incumbents know about the contracts. And it's been already said that we really haven't even discussed what we would do if this project fails. But going back to the business side of this, in my opinion, the city gambled with a lot of money that we're going to have to pay for. One way or the other, we got those bonds. The taxpayers in Northport are going to pay for it. So I don't know if it was a smart business decision of partnering with a company that has no successful track record of a project this size. So if it fails, I would hope that we could come together as a city and make a choice that would benefit the city of Northport, just not the administration or the people in office, but the people of Northport, the citizens. And whatever that would look like, I'd be in favor of, as long as the people, the ones who are sitting out here, were happy with it.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes, I'm with the guys here, the young ladies. I would love to see what was in that contract, because I asked several times, but I wanted it on paper. I didn't want it to look at it on the internet. I don't want it email. I want it on paper where I can see who benefited from it. Okay, now if they doesn't finish the job, what is the obligation? Are they gonna be fined for not finishing the job on time, or what? It doesn't make sense. They could walk away without paying something.
Mr. Smith?
So if the beach fails, I think the first thing we do is we all get on buses and we drive to Texas. And we find this guy. My take on this is, if the beach is going to survive and it's going to be successful, then it will be successful. If it's going to fail, it will fail. And I think for Northport, only time will tell. And whether that is a new council getting in there and really picking it apart and trying to figure out what's best for Northport, that in itself may cause it to fail, right? It may cause it to go in a different direction. I don't want us to have a victim mentality in Northport. I want us to make the best decisions, but I don't want us to kind of roll over and die on this one just because of a lot of money and a big bad developer, right? You've heard people say that the beach is going to be great and we're going to see 600,000 visitors. We can't fathom what 600,000 visitors looks like. I think there's only one place near here that takes on 600,000 visitors a year, and it happens 8 Saturdays. So we can't fathom what that looks like and what it takes to handle 600,000 visitors. So I really believe that the future of the beach is going to happen the way it's supposed to happen, right? I really do believe that. But we've got to do our part to make sure it fails or it's successful.
And Ms. Butler, thank you for waiting to be last in.
Oh, absolutely. And being District 1, I don't usually get to be last, so I kind of appreciate getting to hear everyone else's opinion and weighing in on that. I think there are different aspects from pulling from something that everybody said. It is absolutely natural to have fear about it, what might happen, what could happen, and the best thing, ooh, this one got louder real quick. The best thing about this project, in my mind, is that the city is not taking on the debt of building a water park. So that was something that was on the table. It's something that I did not agree with. And having a private developer take on the project and take on that risk, take on the liability of the insurance, covering employees, covering if someone were to get hurt. I'm thankful the developer is coming in to do that, and that we have a legal team who's worked on those stop gaps in case they don't meet the deadlines and the requirements. I've already, through retail development, been able to speak with a lot of different developers who have been interested in Northport to come here, whether it be for neighborhoods or restaurants, retail, box stores, who are interested because of the University Beach project. There have been so many other things that have spurred off of the potential of this happening, and I don't want us to lose traction with those things. I don't want to go over time either, but I think it's normal to have fear about the unknown and where will we get. I'm glad we have those fears around the developer's money and not the city's.
Well, let's talk about something that is going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon. The current city administrator is retiring, and a new council will need to find a replacement as soon as possible. What qualifications do you consider most important for this job, city administrator? And Ms. Conger, why don't you begin this time?
So the question is, what qualities
for the city administrator?
I think we need a city administrator that brings City Hall back together. I think we need someone who department heads and everyone working for the city of Northport believes is operating in their best interest. Also think we need someone who will stay on top of, for example, with HR or job qualifications or resources, someone that is going to have plans in place in order to make sure that the city is operating the best way possible. And I would want someone, I think we talked about this earlier too, if our goal is for everyone to come to the table and you're putting this much trust in someone as a city administrator, that person has to have the qualities that someone wants to sit at the table with. Right? It's like who, so we have got to find someone who, I guess, like we tell our children, plays well with others, and can sit at the table with the county and with Tuscaloosa, and we all can work together for the best interest of Northport.
Ms. Boba, the new city administrator, what are the most important qualifications?
And I hate that we are losing the current city administrator. Ms. Glenda Webb has been conduit for all of us. She's been the glue. She's had the contacts to be able to reach across the table and talk to our partners at the county and the city of Tuscaloosa. I know we had a couple who said that that was not going on so great, but I beg to differ. We've got this Energy Center right across from Kentuck Park. That's the county. We helped them with that project and have worked together on that greatly. We've been working with our Tuscaloosa big brother across the river on the things that are coming with River Run Park and how to promote Tuscaloosa. So I think that those relationships are going well. I think the new city administrator is going to have those same types of qualities to be able to bind everyone together, to be that glue, to be able to be the glue with our department heads. They are a great team as well. We have a great team of city employees from the top to the bottom, and because we have been able to invest in them and keep good employees, I think that that's how we're getting better out of Northport. You know, Northport's a lot different than it was in 2020. And I don't think it would be without investment from the people who work there every single day. So I think most important qualification of a city administrator is to be able to be that glue, to have everyone sit at the table together and come up with those new ideas, better ways to work, and to have those relationships, some already in place, and have the ability to build new.
Mr. Clark, if you're elected, what will you be looking for in the city administrator?
I'm not scared to say it. I want that person to know more than I do. I want it to be, like Ms. Conger said, a unifying voice. Somebody that's got a good background with the legalese and the HRs, and somebody that can bring everybody to the table, get us all together and have a checks and balance kind of system to make sure we're all keeping our end of the bargain, and the mayor and the rest of the city hall is doing their end of the bargain.
Mr. Smith?
So the first thing I started thinking about is the panel that was before us. You had 4 gentlemen that obviously love Northport. They hold Northport up very dear to their own hearts. And obviously, one of them will get elected, 3 of them will not. And so I start thinking about, man, there's 3 guys right there that love Northport. And I think, you know, you start looking at those kind of qualities of the city administrator. Someone who cares about Northport more than they care about themselves. And I think I really like that idea of being able to know more about what they're doing than we would. So I think you've got to bring somebody in who really knows their stuff. And it's not just a kind of a starting position or a first rung of the ladder hoping to get to their 25, 30 years. So I think it's going to be super important to find that person, and I think that person is out there. I think that person, that position will probably be one of the most important positions we see filled in the next few months, more so than any of us. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that is, but I think that person, again, has to love Northport more than they love themselves.
Ms. Dykes, what will you be looking for if you were reelected?
Well, I believe that we need somebody who has experience in government, that doesn't come into this, who has no idea what they're doing. But someone that knows how to juggle a council, a community, and staff without creating silos that can bring unity together. Somebody who believes in transparency, somebody who is front and center and leads by example. But I think the most important thing is finding somebody who has some experience and also shares a deep love for the city of Northport as well.
Mr. Edwards, do you have thoughts about what you would be looking for in the city administrator?
Yes, I'll be looking for someone who is godly, who's honest, transparent, someone who's going to look out for the people of Northport, who's going to be fair, and and open-minded.
Well, Mr. Wiggins, what would you think?
Well, I come from a background of business, and it is frustrating a lot of times to understand how city government works. So I think having somebody who has experience in city government and how those processes work, I'm always going in to ask Linda on my meetings with her every week. What can we do here? How does this work? What are our ordinances about this? So I think just having somebody with that depth of knowledge is important. I think focusing on putting together, I think Ms. Webb has done this, but I think focusing on our processes and procedures to continue to improve in the city government is important. We have a lot of major projects. A lot of what the city administrator does is project management, and I think you need to have some background in managing projects. You also need good relationships with other community leaders, whether it's the city of Tuscaloosa or the county. And, I think it's important to look for somebody with a proven background of leadership who is willing to challenge staff when we don't do things well, because that happens at times too.
Mr. Stone, what would you be looking for in the city administrator?
I will agree with Carl on one of the last statements. I think we need to find somebody who has a good reputation in the community, and that is willing to say no to the council. I don't think that has happened very much, at least, and again, I'm just like you guys. I'm looking at things from the outside in, so I don't really know. Maybe they did that on some occasions, but it just doesn't feel like it. Again, coming from the outside looking in, that the city administrator was able to say, well, may have not even been able to say no. Maybe she was directed to do certain things. I would like somebody in place who has the knowledge and know-how and the backbone to say, no, this is not legal, this is not right, it's unethical, and it's just not what's best for our city. So that would be something that I would look for, just qualities of somebody who has a good reputation, has experience in leading people, because they're going to be leading us and the mayor. And I agree with Mr. Orlando. I would prefer somebody who's also godly, who has Christian values. That's, to me, that's one of the most important things we can have as a leader, is Christian values. Because when you have those values in place, you treat everybody on a level playing field. It's not about this or that. It's about the character of the person, and that's what I would look for.
Mr. Washington, finish this out for us.
Yes, ma'am. Had a chance to hear everybody. Thank y'all. But I've watched Northport for a long time, and you can just look at how Northport is today and think about who do you want to lead this city as a city administrator. We done had all different type of people as city administrators over the years, but I promise you, as a former city employee from Tuscaloosa, Northport employees used to come here, get trained, and go elsewhere to work. I had the opportunity to sit on the board or on the council with this last hire, Ms. Linda Webb. And in 2020, our police department, fire department, all city workers, pay was way lower than most cities in the Southeast. 5 years later, people are coming to Northport to work. Every spot, maybe minus one, in the police department is full. That's not normal in the police department, I promise you. Cities are 200 million short, 2030. Northport Police Department are full. And they're not trying to leave to go to another city. Fire department the same way. Paramedics was a shortage. We have more money coming into Northport than Northport has ever seen, in my opinion. District 2 received $100 million. Where did that money come from? Because the city administrator worked her butt off. We need somebody just like Ms. Glenda Webb is what I'm saying. Somebody who know how to go into the room and receive money from the county, the state, the federal, and bring it back to our great city. Thank you.
Well, let's move in another direction. Quality schools draw citizens who invest in their communities. So, what improvements in our schools would you like to see? How much of the city's budget should be invested in those improvements? And in particular, do you support the creation of a separate Northport school district? So we have improvements, city's budget, and separate school system. And I don't think I've picked on Mr. Stone to go first yet, so he's going first this time.
All right, so your question was improvements,
Yes,
investments, and city money, right?
That's right.
All right, one of the improvements that I would like to see, just not, we're talking about Northport, so we'll keep it Northport. I believe that it shouldn't matter if you go to Matthews Elementary or Garner Elementary, just a few miles down the road, you should see the same quality of building. You should see the same quality of technology, the same quality of standards across the board. To me, it's not fair to the children that live in Northport and go to Matthews or Riverside to attend school in the environment that they've been going through for years. When you just drive a few miles down the road, it's in the same school system, and it looks like a modern-day college campus. But to me, there's a problem there, and I don't know where that starts or where it ends. But I would like to see Northport invest more into the schools that are within our city limits. And I don't have the answer for that, but I do know we have a 1 cent sales tax, and that brings in about $8 million a year. And I think Orlando stated earlier tonight that we have designated $350,000 to these schools. Out of $8 million, surely to goodness we can invest more than $350,000 into our children's future. So that'd be one way we can invest more. What did I miss?
Separate school system, yes or no?
Separate school system. So as it sits right now, I don't believe we can afford it as a city. Now, maybe if University Beach is successful, maybe years down the road when we're bringing in all this what-if money from tax revenue, maybe we can think about it then, but as it sits right now, we can't afford it.
Mr. Edwards, improvements, amount of budget, and separate school system.
Okay, improvements. I think that most of the schools doesn't need improvement, but Matthews and Riverside need a lot of improvement. Just go by there, take time to go there and look at the schools, how terrible shape they're in. You got the kids there, you got the teachers there. The inside, the paint is coming off the wall and stuff. Why is it that they want Riverside and Matthews to go down? Is it because they on the riverfront? But see, they don't want to talk about that. You got kids in that school system in danger. But you'd rather put up a $350 million beach resort before you revitalize Matthews and Riverside. What's going on? Now, separate school systems. Unlike Mr. Zach, I don't think it would be a good time right now. Like he said, the beach resort or the baseball field out there, park. Yes, if they generate the resources and the income and stuff, yeah, we could do that. But right now, we can't do it. But it's sad that the kids are going to suffer.
Mr. Wiggins.
I have 4 kids, and all 4 of my kids graduated from County High. So one of the reasons I was interested in kind of what was happening in Northport politics is because I had kids in the system. They're all graduating now, but you know, I think that one of the reasons we probably haven't done more is that we don't have a very good relationship, in my opinion, with the County Board of Education. I think that has been because the city government has looked at splitting across, you know, splitting and creating a Northport city school system, and I think some people in the county board resent that. We did a study, it actually came out right after I joined the council, but it took place before that, to look at creating a school system. And to pay for it with property taxes would take 3 to 5 times the property tax we're paying for today, and nobody wants that. I mean, nobody would vote for that here, and it would have to be a vote. So the only other way to do it is to expand the tax base as it exists today, which is bringing in more development, bringing in more visitors, bringing more business, and that's what we're trying to do. Whether it's Riverfront Park, whether it's University Beach, whether it's recruiting other, development, that is the only way it would ever happen. And the more revenue we bring in, the more opportunity we would have to put money toward the school system. I think we can do more, and I think it's a long-term plan. We're not going to fix it in a year.
Ms. Bobo, improvements, budget, and separate school system.
Parroting what's already been said, we are not at a point where we can have a separate school system. I think it's important for us to support the county school system where we are right now and continue to look for additional revenue so that we don't have to raise taxes. I think we've got to get a little bit further down the road before we can look at that again. The school study that we received showed me, in my opinion, that it was absolutely we're not capable of getting there right now. What we are capable of doing and what we have done, I don't know if some of the incumbents remember it or not, but we have invested with the county board for some capital projects. We have met with them many times. We were meeting once a month, and I'm sorry, I don't remember which committee it was, if it was admin committee or projects. We were meeting with them and trying to seek out their needs and ways that we can help beyond that $350 million in first funds that we give them. So we've helped with County Has Jumbotron. We've helped with SROs, or student resource officers, at some of the schools. There have been other projects that we've helped with. Sorry, I don't have a list of them here with me. But there are other ways that we need to contribute to the school system and help them with those capital improvements that need to happen now. And I beg to differ with you. I don't think it's just Matthews and Riverside. I think we have some things that we need to help with every single one of our schools in Northport, all of them. Eccles has a lot of needs, and we need to work with them on those capital improvements any way that we can.
Ms. Dykes?
Well, I think people need to understand that the city of Northport has no say-so what happens at the county level. They are a completely separate entity, just like Tuscaloosa County is, Tuscaloosa City. So we really have no input there. Like Ms. Bobo said, we have definitely invested in different projects within the school system. I think, to invest more, I think would need to be a budget project and someone, with that financial background to look at what areas we can go in and help with the school systems. But that's a little bit of a touchy subject because we don't have any say-so over there. So Mr. Higgin and I have had this conversation before. How do we give a lump sum of money to the county board and just say, here, do this, when we do have schools within our city limits that need to be addressed? Certainly Matthews and Collins Riverside, Flatwoods all need to have attention, but does the onus fall on the city of Northport to correct those issues? And I don't know that question can be answered here. As far as the school system, I would love for one day the city of Northport to have their own school system. It is not the right time now, but one day eventually I think that would happen. But right now I have a daughter who graduated and was educated in the Tuscaloosa County school system. She's a presidential scholar who started law school this week, so I have no issues with the Tuscaloosa County school system. So go Cats.
Mr. Clark, what do you say on this subject?
I agree with points of almost everyone. Stone having the quality of education across the board. Ms. Dykes with the Board of Education controlling most of the money that goes out to all the schools. And then with the budgets and the capital projects that Ms. Bobo stated, and then the revenue brought in, like Mr. Wiggins said. So we can't control how the money gets dispersed, except we do give, the city of Northport does give out $350,000 to be dispersed amongst all the schools. I have 4 kids in schools now. Some schools they're scared to go to with facility upgrades that are much needed, but again, that's more of a Board of Education problem. But if the City of Northport can work with the Board of Education and work on improvements whichever way we can, as much as we can, I'm fully supportive of that. As far as the separate school systems, we don't have the revenue that's coming in like Baldwin County, with Orange Beach and Gulf Shores separating from Baldwin County. They made it easy. They could do that. They have all the tourism dollars coming in. As of right now, we don't have tourism dollars coming in. With the Northport Beach, I mean, honestly, I hope it is successful because that revenue offsets taxes, brings in more money for things that we can do and offer and work in budgets. And like Mr. Stone, we are at a disadvantage of budgets because we have not worked in the past budgets, yearly budgets, and see where we go going forward. So it's a lot of revenue.
Mr. Washington?
Northport schools. First District 2 has some of the oldest schools. We have Matthews Elementary, Riverside, Collins Riverside, Crestmont. Every district has to deal with echoes because we only have one middle school in the city. So, you know, for me, the county board controls the school system 100%. 100%. We've given the $350 yearly to the principals of the schools. So they can decide what they want to do with the money, if it's iPads, if it's something dealing with security. That's a choice of the principals at each school. Can we do more? Yes, we can. Me personally, I think we should have opportunity for the citizens of Northport to decide on the school system. I think we should have an opportunity to vote and say yes or no. I mean, if you want your property tax raised a little bit, for our kids that lives inside of Northport can have a better quality of education, as in facilities, not just the curriculum, because we have great teachers and have great administrators. But our schools are down. I mean, my mom graduated from Riverside. She was the last high school graduate at Riverside. And my grandbabies went to intermediate school there. That's a problem. I've been fighting about the school system for 5 years. And Mr. Danny would say, last meeting we had, he was like, it's cost over $30 million to build one school. And I thought that was crazy. I believe the citizens of Northport should have an opportunity to vote on the school system. And if we want a better quality of life and education for our kids, we vote yes. If not, we just have to be quiet. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
So I think that for schools, how can I put this? If we're thinking about a new school district, I think we're saying what we have now is broken. And while it may be dilapidated, it may be run down, I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's completely broken. So I do think it's important that we make the right decisions to fix what we have instead of replacing it completely. I feel like, yes, the county school system is in charge of making those decisions. And $350,000 is a lot to put towards that school system. But I would like to entertain the fact that if the council or the city of Northport's coming to the table with $350,000, maybe we do have somewhat of a voice or somewhat of advice to give, or and if money talks, then we're talking about more than $350,000, because I don't think we could spend too much on our kids' educations, on the teachers' salaries. We can't spend too much on that. I think everybody would agree on that. And you see these $70 million high schools being built. It's unreal. So I don't think we can put too much money towards it, but I think at some point we've got to be responsible in how much money are we putting and how much activity are we allowed to be a part of in making those decisions. Because I think it's a joint effort, it's a collaborative effort. And so I think it's important for us to really kind of step back and say, yes, this is the way we've been doing things, but we want to pump more money into the schools, but we also want to have some say in how to do these things. There.
And Ms. Conger.
I'm going to try not to be repetitive. We'll see how that goes. I think this all boils down to, I think what you're hearing from everybody is that we need to have, like Carl said, and Jamie and some others, a better relationship with the Board of Education. It starts there because, you know, the legal entanglement we have with the fact that it's a county school system and we're the city of Northport, it does create issues. But if we foster those relationships, if people are willing to sit down at the table with us, we can accomplish so much more. We can have the conversations that Turnley's talking about, okay, 350, you don't want to give us a voice, then what gives us a voice? Those conversations need to happen, and we need to have people in place that are willing to talk. You know, Ms. Bobo mentioned, you know, that some things that happen in committee meetings, and she wasn't sure which committee meeting. And I think this all gets me back to how we're running things, right? If we're in these work sessions and we're having more collaborative efforts across the district to discuss things like problems in the schools, infrastructure, things like that, then maybe we will come up with some better solutions together instead of broken off into these separate things. And the only other additional thing I would add that I don't believe has been said yet, we can support projects that go into our schools, and we do that. We support. You know, I'm on the board for the Arts Council. I'm on the board for the Public Library Foundation. They go into our schools, and some of the entities that Mr. Washington has mentioned before. They go into the schools and provide additional services to our students, and we can't undervalue supporting those entities that go in and try to change our children's lives, either through the arts, through literacy, through other types of programs. And so I think we can also continue to support those entities because they are also changing our children's lives.
Well, that might lead into our next question. The city of Northport has about 13% of Tuscaloosa County's population. Would you support having the city of Northport contribute 13% of the Tuscaloosa County Library's annual budget? And if not, what would the library need to do to get that level of support from the city of Northport? And I'm going to start this time with Mr. Washington.
I mean, personally, my thoughts about it is, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to be on any type of numbers, knowing exactly. But I know when we got into office, there was a certain amount of money that Northport was given. And over 5 years, and this is, to me, it's small, but it's big. I want to say we was given money and we raised the budget. The first year we didn't. And every year afterwards we did. And when they had a project they needed, they asked for the money to fund it. Another project, they asked for the funding. In 5 years, we gave over $1.1 million. Please, I hope I'm right. Am I close, Ms. Conner? You know, right around that amount, over $1 million to the public library within 4 years, 5 years. I mean, to me, we was trying to do more than the past councils over the years. Was it enough? Some would say no, some would say yes, but I believe we have to, I said it earlier, just make sure that we can cover our employees' cost of living and step, and make sure that we can keep their health care down, because Northport employees have some of the best insurance probably in the state. And being able to use that money to make sure our employees are taken care of, because we want to retain the employees, and we want to make sure that we keep well-trained officers, firefighters, city employees in the city of Northport. So making the decisions to pay here or pay there, and I'm always going to choose for our employees.
Mr. Edwards, we got this budget question. 13% of the population, should it be 13% of the budget?
Say that again now?
Okay, then I'll repeat it for everybody. The city of Northport has about 13% of Tuscaloosa County's population. Would you support having the city of Northport contribute 13% of the Tuscaloosa County Library's annual budget? And if not, what would the library need to do to get that level of support from the city of Northport?
Well, first of all, we need to support our own citizens and libraries and stuff. To support another city library, if I'm correct, that's what you're saying, is Tuscaloosa Library.
It's the Tuscaloosa County Library, and it is managed by the city, county, and the city of Northport. And I think the question is that the proportion of money is not commensurate with the population of Northport.
Well, that's, you know, the money is an issue with it and everything, and I think that it should fall on someone else to support it, due to the fact that we 13% of Tuscaloosa population. I don't, know too much about the library support and all this, so I'm saying that I don't know about that. How should it go? I'm new to this game and everything, and hopefully, if I'm elected, I don't have the experience like Mr. Washington, 4 years, or some of the other people up here, but I am passionate about Northport, Alabama. I bleed kind of high blue. I bleed Riverside red and gold, and I'm all for whatever making Northport a better place to live for each and every one, no matter what color you are or where you live at. It's all about family and friends.
Ms. Conger, what are your thoughts? 13% of the population, should they be giving 13% of the budget? And if not, what should the library do to gain more support?
And like I said, just for transparency purposes, I am on the board of the Public Library Foundation, so I may be a bit biased here. You know, the issue comes with the funding for the library. I think people just think, oh, it's just a library. I don't think everyone realizes all of the services that the Tuscaloosa Public Library provides. It is far more than just a bunch of books in a building. There are other services for all different parts of the population that the library provides. When the studies are showing is that the citizens of Northport actually use the services of the public library more than the other entities involved. So then it becomes, okay, this is clearly something our citizens are using. What do we need to pay to make sure that our citizens still have it? And that is where the rub came this year, because what you also have got to realize is the library depends on things like federal grants. Well, when those go away, we've got to keep the library doors open, we've got to keep those services going. So for me, the public library is an entity that serves all of our citizens, the youngest to the oldest, across all of these districts, and we need to do our part to make sure they're able to continue those services, because literacy is what gets us to where we want to go. Literacy is at the foundation of everything, and so that brings the businesses, that brings all of these things we've been talking about. And so I'm always going to be in favor of making sure, along with the other entities, because I know Mr. Washington said we kept raising it, well, so did everybody else, because you also got to realize inflation and everything else, things cost more. And so we just need to make sure that we are keeping those services available to our citizens, because they're vital.
Ms. Dykes, do you have comments on this?
I don't want to commit to a 13% of their budget, but I would like to see the library set up how the animal shelter is set up. And that is a percentage each year that comes from the city of Tuscaloosa, the city of Northport, and the county. It's a metro animal shelter. So I do believe that there should be some kind of percentage I don't want to commit to the 13% because I don't know their numbers like some people do. But I definitely think there needs to be a metro authority that goes along with the library, just like we do the animal shelter. So I am for a certain percentage being spread out through county, city, and Northport.
Mr. Smith.
I'm gonna think outside the box here just a little bit. I'd love to see Northport have its own library, right? We're talking about the schools and how run down they are and how the kids aren't learning. What if we introduce a library that where people can walk to and don't have to cross the river? What does our $350,000 look like over the course of the next 5 years? We've lived in some pretty small towns, and they all had libraries. And whether it's a satellite for Tuscaloosa County or Northport City Library, I don't know. But why not? Why not have facilities available to more people, if that's what we're talking about? I think I'm not going to say that, but I think we don't need to rely so much on Tuscaloosa for our success, right? Yes, it's Tuscaloosa County, but the library's over there, right? And we have a lot of people that maybe can't get over there. I know we limit our time over the library just because it's that much further to drive. So I would introduce the idea of let's think outside the box on this, and how can we make it better? And if it's not pumping more money into the library or trying to match funds, then let's think about something else. There's always more than one way to get something done, and I think we've all established that our school systems are lacking, or that our schools are lacking, and that may be a crucial component to that. Yeah, that's all.
Mr. Wiggins, what are you thinking?
I think it's fine in the abstract to say Northport is 13% of the population and should pay 13% of the burden. I think the difficulty with that is twofold. One is that we're not close to paying 13% now, and that would be a massive increase in funding. So I think you have to work your way up to that, which I feel like we've been working at. Is at least my perspective is trying to push that number up every year so that we do give them more. But I can promise you, as soon as we say, well, yeah, we're going to give 13% to the library, then PARA is going to come to us and go, how about our 13%? Because they're saying the same thing. And I think the difficulty for, when you're working with having to get agreement between the council members as well as saying, okay, what are our priorities? If our priorities are making sure that our employees are able to have a cost of living increase, then how much can we give to the library, and how much can we give extra to PARA, and how much can we give to all these other agencies that we give funding to? And it is a balancing act. So I would not commit to a 13%. I think it is something we need to continue to grow, and I think it is absolutely fair to ask Northport to pay more of its fair share. But I don't think it would be economically viable for us to push it all the way to 13% immediately. I just don't think that works.
Ms. Bobo?
I served on the Tuscaloosa Public Library's foundation board for just shy of a decade myself, and removed myself from the board when I was elected to office for Northport. I do believe it's a conflict of interest to continue serving on that board. And the reason why it is such a big conflict is because I would have felt like I was lobbying for the money, all of our money, to go to the public library. I had an office across the street from the library for, 5 or so years, going back between the farmer's market and the amphitheater for 7 years, and I saw how much it was used. I see how much the employees from the library come into our Northport schools. I see the way that they supplement and the programming that they offer. And we used to have a library inside City Hall, and it had books that I could check out when I was a little girl, and I wanted that to be there again. The numbers fell off with people who were utilizing it, and staffing it became a problem, and then staffing it with no one coming in became a bigger problem. So there are reasons why things have transpired the way that they have. Is it time to revisit that? Gosh, I would love that. I would love for there to be a library inside City Hall or down on the riverbank. There is just so much that the library does for us that people don't realize. In the same respect, we have to take care of our employees first. We have to take care of all of the other agencies that we fund. We have to make sure that, you know, if the library is asking us for an extra $100,000, did they increase their employee pay by that amount? And we weren't allowed to increase our employee pay by that amount. So there's just pros and cons with everything, and I think that keeping the budget balanced and choosing those agencies and how we're able, sorry, we're done. I could go all night on that one.
Let's see, Mr. Clark, I don't think we've asked you this question.
Libraries are important. I'm not quite sure what 13% of their budget would equate to, but it sounds like obviously it's a lot more than what we're paying now. It correlates with your quality of life and for the kids, and like Ms. Conner said, literacy. It's important. I think with 13%, that's pretty high, but that's something we could probably as a council work up to. I like some of all the comments that have been made, and now being the last person, I think most things have been said, but 13% is pretty high, but whatever we're paying now, we need to look at those going forward.
Well, you're not the last person, because Mr. Stone hasn't spoken. I'm trying to, if I leave anybody out, please holler really loud. But Mr. Stone, I think we need to hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. So my initial thought was, what percent of the people from Northport utilize the library? And I'll be completely honest, I'm ignorant of a lot of the services that they provide for the city schools. So that would be something I would have to learn on a personal level, and then evaluate, you know, the commitment from our city as far as the funding that we would provide for them. And I don't believe there's anything I can add as far as the knowledge of what their budget is, or even how much we even give them today. I don't know those numbers. But again, like everybody said, I think it's an important asset for the children and adults that may not have internet access or computer access. I do know those things exist there, because I've used them myself in years past. So I guess to answer your question on the short term is, it would be a subject matter that I had to learn more about before I could make a decision and commitment.
Would you like to move away from money for a question? This is a question about a potential restructure. Hold on, let me find it here. A potential restructuring of the city council in the way that committees are assigned. And I addressed the group by saying currently there are 2 council members per committee, with District 4 not represented on any committee. Would you change the structure of the city council so that all districts have a voice in all committees? And I'm just going to go down the line and start with Ms. Bobo. Do you think all districts should have a representation on all committees, or is it working the way it is?
I do think all districts should participate in all committees. I do believe in that, and I do think everyone should participate. I do believe in the current structure because I believe that it allows us to be able to divvy up the work, but I do think that everyone should participate so that the work is shared and fair.
Okay. Mr. Smith, we're just going to come down the line.
I like the idea of having groups that work together, not the committee structure that's there right now. I think it's important for all 5 districts to represent themselves anytime there's any kind of council matters. Any of the committees that are out there now, it's important that all 5 districts are represented equally. And so I'm not a big fan of the committee structure, just because it does. Let's talk about the last 5 years. I mean, it's like you just said, District 4 is not represented on any of the committees, and And had it been more of a working session, that wouldn't have happened. And there would have been representation of all 5 districts. So I think it can be better, and I think to have all 5 districts represented is important.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes, I think all 5 districts should be represented all together. That way, if there's an issue with something that one person cannot solve, then the other person can step in to try to resolve the issue. And I think it'll be a good thing to have, everyone together to solve a problem that's arising in the council meeting.
Mr. Stone?
I'm a little on the fence on this question. I understand the workload, and that's probably the reason why it is structured the way it is now. And if I'm elected, hopefully I could trust my counterparts in the other districts to make good choices at these committee meetings, and then maybe reconvene, as we have our council, pre-council meetings, we can at least discuss things that were discussed in the other meetings. But I think that would be okay either way. This is as long as I can commit the time to it. And I don't know how many committees there are. Again, I'm still learning a lot of things about the structure of the city, and as time goes on, I'll be willing to be a part of those, of course. But like I said, hopefully that whoever is elected, we could trust one another to make the right decision for the city as a whole, just not maybe our district. So again, I would be a game player. I would go either way, whatever we decide to do. I think it would just be a discussion with the new council, or a combination of whoever's on at the table tonight, to sit down and make the best decision for all of us.
Mr. Washington?
All right. On the committee thing, I'm gonna kind of like tell you guys how it really is. It's like we have different committees. We meet once a month on the 3rd Monday. And at one point it was about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And it's 2 council members, is the chair and co-chair. But everybody's welcome to come to the meeting. Everybody. And I know that the committee that I chair, I give everybody in the room an opportunity to speak. Every council member, the mayor, and every staff in there. If they have something to say, they're welcome to say it. Choosing to be on the committee or whatever, that's your choice. Choose not to, that's your choice. But I don't have a problem either way personally, only because this is, when I came, this is how it was. But at these meetings, it's only 2 council members, they'll vote and decide during the meeting. But it takes 3 votes at the council meeting to approve anything that the committee passed. So the 2 at the committee don't pass everything. They're gonna need to get somebody else to agree with them to make something pass. So that means you have to work and talk to one another and work deals out and negotiate. You have to. I mean, my first years there, it was hard. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, dang, I gotta do better this time. But honestly, everybody has that opportunity at the committee meeting to be there and to have their voice heard. Nobody has never been able to speak at the committee meeting and give their opinion about something. And at the council meeting, you still need 3 votes. So, short story, I can do either one.
Ms. Carter?
I think I've already said this, so I feel a little bit repetitive. I think the current system's broken. I think it fosters, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it fosters silos being created basically among certain members. And I think the work sessions, something along those lines is a more collaborative effort. It's a more transparent effort. It allows everyone to feel more of a part of things. This is not something I just came up with overnight. There are other cities that do this. In fact, I believe Glenda Webb, who's our outgoing city administrator, has offered it as a possibility in the past when this has been brought up in the newspaper. I believe she was quoted as saying this was absolutely a possibility. So I'm not just coming out of left field with this. But as it stands right now, it's not working. And I just beg to differ with those who are sitting up here who say it is. But I think we need to try something new, and we need to try something more transparent, and we need to try something that fosters a sense across the entire council that we all have a stake in the game and that we're all representing our constituents on a broader level.
Mr. Wiggins.
I'm kind of like Woodrow, I don't really care if we do one or the other. I think the one advantage of having, the 2-member committee is that, I have a full-time job, so there are times that I cannot make it to every committee meeting, and I will make it to mine, or I will get mine rescheduled when I'm, a chair or co-chair, because I need to be there, and I know that other people are handling other committee votes, but every issue that gets voted on at committee also has, as Woodrow said, also has to come back to council. So it's not like a committee's passing anything that the rest of the council doesn't get to weigh in on. So I don't really care if we go to a work session. That would be fine. I think committees are fine. I think there are opportunities for everybody to weigh in on every issue, and the reason District 4 isn't represented has nothing to do with the fact that there are committees.
Well, let's hear from District 4.
Things change. I'm okay with the current situation or whatever things changed and voted to. I think you should have 100% commitment to whatever you're asked to do. I'm okay with the work sessions, but it's putting a lot on the council to attend every different meeting, committee. So it's a part-time job to be asked to do a full-time position. So whatever's, I'm on the record saying, whatever changes are made, I'd be okay with that.
And Ms. Dykes.
So much for a question not being directed at an individual. Since this question has been brought up, District 4 is represented in committee meetings. I attend the committee meetings. I just do not chair, and that was my choice to step down. And the reason I did that is I was on projects committee and I was on community outreach. Well, if anybody knows anything about the city of Northport, our engineering department is, on point with our projects. There really is there's no need for that committee. How many times have you been to the holiday open house or to the Easter egg hunt or, anything, the touch a truck? That's all done by staff. That is not done by us. So there is some overlap there. I just did not feel like it was effective. And what Mr. Washington said was partially correct. Yes, you have to have a third vote, but whatever that committee is, the 2 people who are in there are making that decision what goes to council. So what if they make a decision that they don't want something to go to council that should go to council? Then the third vote is irrelevant. That's why I am so for work sessions, and our city administrator is the one who recommended that to begin with. Everybody needs to sit down at the table with department heads and have these conversations. They should not be done individually.
We are getting close to the end of our time, but one of the really important things that we don't want to neglect that makes Northport unique is the hometown feel of our neighborhoods and protecting that hometown feel of our neighborhoods. So that's what this last question is going to be. There were some areas that people expressed concern about. One was guidelines for things like Airbnbs that would not impinge on nearby residents, parks or green spaces in certain neighborhoods, and also the future of historic Northport. So you've got 3 ways you can go. You can go with all 3, you can go on your own. But we will just, let's see, I think this time I'm going to start with Mr. Wiggins. I can't remember who I picked on the most here, so start, Mr. Wiggins.
One of the things that I think is my company has an office in Charlotte, North Carolina, and one of the things that they do really well is they have a lot of green spaces that connect neighborhoods, and it's a thing I would like to see us do more of, especially in areas like, floodways where you can't really build anything, but you could have a green space or a trail or something like that. So I think there are opportunities there for us to do more. I think that the hometown feel of our neighborhoods is a thing that makes us valuable as a city, and I think we need to do what we can to preserve that. I think, if I look at District 3, there are a lot of unconnected spaces within sort of the footprint of my district, and I think that finding opportunities for us to annex more areas, bring in new neighborhoods and all that, those are things that we could do to connect the communities better. I think that creating walking trails and sidewalks are also things that we want to try to do, and I think our comprehensive plan that we put together in the last year is designed to help us do that, but it's going to take us a while to get there, and I think that is something we should strive for.
Mr. Stone, hometown feel, neighborhoods, historic districts, all of
Yes,
those.
ma'am. One of the things that I initially thought about doing when I realized I was in District 2 after the change last year was to bring in, and I know in the past we've had some business with Habitat for Humanity. I would really like to rebuild that relationship with the Habitat for Humanity in Northport. I really believe that District 2 and District 1 would greatly benefit from that program. And I know they're committed now to a long-term project in Tuscaloosa, but maybe we could start small with them and bring them in. Excuse me. They do have a roof repair or restoration program that a lot of our citizens would probably benefit from. And I don't know all the qualifications for that, but that would be a good starting place to rebuild that relationship with them. And there's other nonprofits too that could come in and help homeowners revitalize their homes and to help keep some of the historic homes in Northport. We have some beautiful homes in Northport, and I know that whether they're elderly people for whatever reason may not have the means to do the restoration, new windows, painting, things of that nature. And I agree. I used to be an avid runner, and I would love for our city to be connected through sidewalks, trails. It would just really improve that part of the quality of life. People walk all through our cities, and we don't really have adequate sidewalks to do that. Like in my neighborhood, Northwood Lake, you kind of walk at your own risk sometimes. But I'm fine with that. But I think going forward, that should be something at the forefront of our mind, is to provide those types of atmosphere for our citizens, especially with I know the Fifth Street project coming along is going to provide some of those sidewalks and trails, and I think that would be a great starting place and to improve upon.
Okay, Mr. Clark, would you like to take it up there? Hometown feel.
I'm glad to hear that we're all concerned about preserving the charm of Northport. It's good to hear across the board so far. Going forward, we need to prioritize developments that enhance neighborhoods and not disrupt them. We need to be infrastructure ready, attract the businesses that complement Northport's character and provide good jobs without overwhelming the infrastructure. I'm trying to keep close. Now that it's 9 o'clock and I'm pretty sure everyone's hungry, I'm going to be quick on
Okay. All right, Ms. Conger, what would you say?
I'll piggyback off that last comment that Mr. Clark about enhancing neighborhoods, not trying to change. This whole journey started for me in 2021 when a development was proposed in Vestavia that did not match the characteristics of our neighborhood that had been there for so many decades. And that's when my neighbors came to me, now Mayor John Henn, he was our representative at the time. He came to me and said, can you help us argue against this development? And so that's really where my love and interest in this started. So I'm absolutely on board with keeping the character of our neighborhoods and enhancing. I think as far as historic Northport goes, the walkability of downtown, I think the downtown projects that we've all talked about, I don't know how many people who come to visit me when we go to downtown Northport, they're like, this is the most beautiful downtown. Well, we just need more to do there, you know. Uh-oh. Now that's an interesting timer. But all that being said, I think that's what we need to focus on. We need to enhance downtown, and so that more people can see our beautiful historic Northport downtown, because that is a draw. And one last thing, I'll piggyback off of what Mr. Wiggins said, about annexing to connect these neighborhoods so that there's more green space, more walkability. Well, when we annex, you're going to have sewage, and you know where I'm going with this. Gonna need some pipes. So, I think it all, it's all connected, so.
Mr. Edwards.
Yes. Now, I'm all for keeping the downtown Northport historic. Now, let's talk about the other neighborhoods that's in Northport. We talk about beautifying Northport and how beautiful Northport is. Well, let's look at this picture right here. What about Northgate? What about Valley Hill? What about North Circle? What about West Circle? You talk about beautifying everything else, but you don't want to talk about where you got low-income people who need to be put in better housing. Look, I'm not here as a politician. I'm here as a person who cares about Northport. I'm a person who here that cares about education. I'm a person here who cares about kids. If you're going to talk about a foundation, start with a foundation that's going to build a ladder for the people to come up out of poverty. If you build that foundation with a ladder and the kids come up out of poverty, they could pass it on to their kids. Right now, I'm scared for Northport. I'm really scared for Northport because a lot of people sit here and say that they this and that and everything, but the truth be told, who knows God? Who knows God? If you know God, you will understand God's law when it comes about when people hold certain positions in political office. But you don't want to talk about that. You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it one day. And then you'll understand what you're supposed to do as a political servant. I'm not here as a politician. I'm learning. I done learned a lot from these people here. And if I'm elected city councilman of District 2, I'm going to make sure that I keep an open policy about my people. Everyone that's here and...
Thank you. Okay, and Ms. Dykes. And honestly, I may have lost track the beeping sort of through my concentration, so help me keep up with it. I haven't heard from Ms. Dykes on this one.
I had the honor of serving on our Planning and Zoning Commission. I was actually the chair before I was removed, and we started the comprehensive plan, and they followed through with that, and that plan will preserve the charm and the history of Northport. We also have a long-term plan of connecting all parts of Northport with a sidewalk, north, south, east, and west. That is one thing that I would like to see and come to fruition in District 4 is the linear park that would come from Glencrest all the way down Mid-Larry to County High, and that would be the northern part of the connector. But there are also aspects when you talk about green space and parks. In District 4, the city owns no property in District 4. So you can't just unilaterally go out there and say on somebody's property, I'm going to put a park here. This is going to be your green space. You can't do that. We have to purchase that property. So there are some things that it's not just as easy as you think it is, but I think there needs to be green space all around our community and all of our neighborhoods.
Ms. Bubba.
keep this short and sweet. I believe in our hometown feel of our neighborhoods, and I believe in preserving our past because it fuels our future. I believe in that so much that we have paid specific detail to elements at River Run Park to make it feel like a continuation of our downtown. That being said, I don't know if anyone's addressed this, I don't really believe in a lot of government overreach as far as guidelines for Airbnbs. I think we have a great policy in place. I think we let HOAs do that. There are some revisions that need to be made as far as noise ordinances that I think would get some of the recent problems a little better under control. I don't think anybody has spoken to Airbnbs yet, but I just wanted to say that. And the Habitat program that you spoke of, we've done that, but I haven't seen it around in the past 2 years. So I think we do need to revive that. That's a resource that's available to us. I think it was $50,000 for a roof at one time, and we had some people who were qualified and got new roofs in Northport. Definitely need to get right back on top of that. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Mr. Wiggins, have I heard from you?
Yes, I was
Okay.
first on
You,
this.
oh, I heard you first. Okay, Mr. Smith, I haven't heard from you on this one.
Okay. First of all, this mic is still hot. I'm about to pass the plate. So, I think Northport needs to be proactive. I think we need to not be reactive when it comes to conversations with developers. I think we need to be, if we start having the mentality of Northport as a developer, and we can start having these conversations with developers and say, this is our mission, this is our vision, this is what we want to see. You work for us. You can take those hometown feels of the neighborhoods and start implementing the way we feel about things and directing developers, builders, whoever it might be. And that's okay to have that proactive approach to things, and I think you have to. Otherwise, you lose control of all the money that's being spent. And we're going to see a lot of money being spent in Northport over the next 10, 15 years. And we need to be proactive with it. We need to position ourselves as, we're glad to have you, but we don't have to have you, right? We've got other options. And I think if we're making decisions where we're desperate to get people in here and we're desperate to have people spend money to build things, that's reactive. We don't need that. We need to be proactive. And I feel like if we're approaching things of, again, a clear vision, a clear mission of what we want out of Northport, and the hometown feel, the downtown area, the ballpark, the River Run, Riverwalk, I mean, just all these great components that make up Northport, it becomes easy, right? We become the ones who say, this is how we're going to do it.
And Mr. Washington.
Yes, ma'am. I piggyback with Mr. Edward on the housing authority issue. You know, what he said is real. And Northport does not control the housing authority. That's a federal agency. I would love to see the property across from Riverside sold because the housing authority own it. And the money used there, from there, at one point, someone spoke of $9, $10, $15 million for that property. It would be a great idea that the housing authority use that money and build houses throughout the community. District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it don't matter. Build houses and remove people away from the projects, so-called named. You know, get them into the community, everybody living side by side, ease up the tension, move the crime. I mean, all that would go down, completely go down. You know, when people are in one neighborhood with the same mentality, they're gonna stand around and do different things, and there's gonna be trouble there. But you know, the city don't control the housing authority. Airbnb, that's a possibility of revenue for the city because we don't have a lot of hotels. You know, the city gets 11% of revenue from Airbnb. Can some be trouble? For sure. Ask Northwood Lake. They had a terrible night, and they didn't deserve that. But this council has put in place ways of removing business license from Airbnb if they're gonna continue to be a problem, so. And the historic Northport, it need to be historic. It need to stay sweet, nice. We love the lights, you know, so, but at the end of the day, we just need to continue what we're doing and just keep Northport like it is.
I cannot believe how much we've packed into the last 3 hours and 10 minutes. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Greater Tuscaloosa, I would like to thank each of our candidates for their participation and each of our audience members for your attention and attendance and concern for your community. I remind you again, this will be posted on the League of Women Voters LWV Tuscaloosa YouTube channel, and you can refer other people to look for it. You can verify your voting status in your polling place, and you can tell this to your neighbors by going to the Alabama Secretary of State's website, that's SOS for Secretary of State, .alabama.gov, and filling in only your name and address. That's all you have to give, and it will tell you exactly where you go to vote on Election Day. And finally, if you support the principles of the League of Women Voters, we invite you to consider joining our organization. Our name is merely a historical one, and we are open to people of any gender identity, and information is on the back table about how you would join. Thank you, and safe travels home.